Welcome, everybody. Happy morning, afternoon, evening. Happy afternoon, Mary. You're looking great, Mary. You're in a new position. You're in like a new spot.
I'm actually in a hotel because I couldn't go home. So I have my phone plugged in, so I'll try to be quiet. But yeah.
She's Irish.
Yeah, I couldn't, if I went home on the bus, I wouldn't make it back to the house in time. So that's why I'm staying in Cork for a little bit longer and then go home later. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Fantastic. Very resourceful. Okay, so, people may be trickling in over time, but who've been on these calls before, these classes before. The small groups are pretty awesome. So we'll just get into it. Carlene is in Botswana. She's laying in the grass here. She's not moving. Do you want to introduce yourselves a bit, because we're a small group and you could just say hi to one another. We've got a new member of our community, Susan, and she just popped in. Some of you who've been here a while, do you want to give a little introduction to yourself for Susan?
Sure. Hi, good morning. I'm Paul. I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm a retired architect, trying to get started on a new art career. And I've been with Anne about 6 weeks now, and really getting a lot out of it, and happy to be here this morning.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Mary, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Mary. I'm from Ireland, and I am a writer. And since I saw you last, I got shortlisted for a major poetry prize, so I'm very happy about that. And yeah, I'm here to learn, and I'm learning a lot. So yeah, it's very resourceful. Yeah, and I joined the level 1. Is it?
Yes, you just joined level 1 this week, like you joined level 2, Susan. So yeah, beautiful. Mary's been at every single masterclass. She's digging into every single email. She's coming up she's shifting her position in life. She's coming from one spot to another, and likely you wanted to get into the coaching a long time ago. You didn't know how to even do it, but she's stuck with every little thing she can get her hands on. And now she's jumped into level 1. I kind of crafted level 1 for Mary. So she could take a step in, a baby step in, which she has. So congratulations.
Yeah. So I'm coming out of a very difficult situation. So I'm trying to visualize the way ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
Carlene noted here that she's clearing out her lungs from construction dust. She'll be in a bit, but she'll introduce herself when that happens. Susan, you want to say a hello?
Hello, I'm in Chicago, and I'm a writer, specifically a writer of Marvel comics and fan fiction. And I'm gonna like absorb for a while.
Fantastic. Okay.
And Mary, I'm likely to mimic your accent because I do accents. So.
Did you hear that, Mary?
She's got her mute on.
She's gonna start trying to steal your accent.
I said I'm likely to start mimicking your accent for you're from Ireland. Where are you from in Ireland?
You're quite welcome to. Yeah. Thanks.
She's from Cork. Are you from Cork?
From County Cork?
Yeah, County of Cork. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so we covered a lot in those last 5 weeks, and I'll kind of navigate us through this, the content, and then I would love it for you. Carlene says she joined my coaching program to facilitate and align her goals and dreams into greater clarity, alignment, and continue getting stuff done. So she wants to be at a higher level. That's where she is. Besides laying in the grass, smiling, that's what she is doing. So Simona, welcome. Pop on camera. We'd love to see you, and you can say hi and introduce yourself when you're ready. So week 20, I started off by talking about, are you living a half-assed life? Talked about if you really feel like you're all in, or you're on the periphery of something that might be yours, but you're not even sure. So how many of you does that pertain to? Do you feel like you're all in on your life? Or do you feel like you're a bystander? Or let me think how we could assess that in the chat, or you can just raise your hand or put your hand up and I'll call you. Yeah, Carlina's definitely all in right now. She's rolling around in it. Yeah, not all in. I would say I would love to say I'm all in and I'm really going after it, but I'm probably at like 85 or 90. I'm constantly still searching for what all the way in will feel like, where I'm not.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like I'm all in, but I don't know what next to do, you know, and that's kind of why I linked in today, because I don't know what next, what steps next I need to take. Yeah.
Great. Paul, you've been really stepping in big. Where do you feel like you are in the percentage of like 0 to 100 miles per hour?
Right now, probably about 75, but I'm in the middle of some planning processes and pulling the trigger on a couple of things that are gonna increase that percentage here over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's great. Anybody else want to offer where they are in their how fast they feel like they're going in there, if they're speeding? Are you going the speed limit, or are you pushing the edge a little bit, or are you making up your own speed limit, which I like to do? To me, a speed limit's a suggestion. Okay, so we also talked about being scared to dream big. What happens for you? You know, it's natural when you are, you create a world that you get comfortable with. It feels good to you. You know, it's a world where you have the 6 basic human needs being met, hopefully. You have, these are the 6 basic human needs. You have consistency, or, you know, the known. Then you have the opposite of that, which is variety. Our beings love variety. Then you have love and connection. And love can be risky, so a lot of people settle for connection. And then there's significance. We can be significant in any way you want. So you could be significant by being by vowing poverty, and you could be significant by being a zillionaire. Now, because of the economy right now, I'm going up to zillion, because we know that billion isn't that valuable anymore. So you could be a zillionaire. So you could be someone who, whatever you are, it's your uniqueness. It's important to be unique. And then there's the 2 spiritual basic human needs, and one is growth. One is for growth, never-ending growth, so you don't become stagnant. And the other is for contribution. So if you look at your life right now, how many of those are you hitting? And you can throw a number in the chat. How many of those? Okay, so I'll say them again. One is for variety, and the other is for consistency. Like the known and the unknown, you need both. One is for love and connection. Are you getting love and connection? And the other is for significance. Do you feel important, unique, significant in the world? And then there's growth. And then there's contribution. Are you getting all of those? How many of those are you getting for one? Just throw that in the chat, throw a number in, 1 through 6. How many of those are you getting? And then if you're missing any, what are the 2 that were 1, 2, 3? What are the ones you're missing that you could use more of? And often when we go to have the big life, we start dreaming, it pushes on that first one, for that need for stability. So it would be normal for part of you to say, hey, come on, this is exciting. And part of you to say, hey, wait, that's scary. So when you dream big, so what's missing? You guys who already posted your numbers, what categories are you not necessarily getting that you would like to get? One of the basic human needs. I would say I'm good on the growth. I love growth, so I'm constantly seeking it. And with that, I hit the second one, which is variety, because as you are learning, you're getting all that variety. So bang, bang. Sometimes it's the consistency or the groundedness, the stability that I've thrown out the window because I actually have had a fear of becoming complacent, or a fear of not growing, a fear of life going by me and me not staying up with it. So I err on the side, my imbalance errors on the side of creating so much that I can't settle too much because there's so much going on. You feel like you're lacking in all of them. Well, that's interesting, Paul. So we'll have to investigate that. Right now, you're creating a lot of change for yourself. You don't feel like you're getting variety? You want to pop up and pop off? Yeah.
I guess variety, but it doesn't seem like in a good way.
Interesting. So is that scary for you on some level? How does it feel?
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling jittery about some things that are coming up, some decisions that I'm trying to make, and things that I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Um,
So seeing the opposite of all that variety is that grounded knowing, or that familiar. What do you have in your life that you could emphasize that's always there to balance you?
Faith, close family.
Okay. You're moving, you're separating, you're divorcing, you're moving,
Yes.
you're delving into a new studio space, a new job format, your art career. You've got 5 stars for variety.
I
Yeah.
guess I don't know.
Yeah.
I would rather see more positive variety in activities and hobbies and consistent work life, which I haven't had in a long time.
Yeah, so I would say that you get to focus in. A little assignment for you will be to focus in on the things that you do have every day that are consistent. You probably have a huge list of them, but when you're in the midst of all this change, it's hard to touch base with those and feel them there. And we had talked about that. You and I had talked about that in our pod, how you have a lot going on that's up in the air. That would have been one of the possible things for keeping the house. But you discovered through navigating through your own direction that the apartment was going to be great for you. So my focus for you would be, and anybody else who's feeling like you don't have enough stability, you're taking some leaps into some new areas of your life, and it's making you a little nervous. Where are the things in your life that you can lock into that are consistent? Throw some in the chat. My parents are consistent. They're 98 and 88. They won't always be there in the physical, but I'll have a connection with them no matter what. But if I want grounding, if I've created too much change and I'm nervous about the change, I do some baking, which connects me to my relatives that aren't here anymore, that I'm deeply spiritually connected with. I get that connection there, and then I take that bakery over and we have some of it, and I feel like grounded. So what are some things that you could do for yourselves? All of you are here for change. That's a theme. You're all intelligent, you're all creative, and you're all here for change. Am I right? Let me know if I've not hit it right. Simona, you haven't been in the community for me to get to know you. Is that true of you as well? You're welcome to put that in the chat or come on camera. And Carlene, I'm looking forward to seeing you when you get here in the face, when you put your face in the camera. Yeah. So I go up to Spirit River. I go up to the river when I'm really out of whack with. The other day, I was going to make a big decision on the next step in purchasing for my spiritual center. It's not going as smoothly as I wished. I went to a place where my family always got together on Sundays. It's a marshy property, and no one was with me. A lot of them have passed, a good half of them, and I missed them so bad on one half of myself, and on the other, I could feel them there. So I went there, and sometimes people just put out energy into the quantum field. They just put out an energy of a question. So, I mean, there's all sorts of spiritual writing. There's all sorts of scientific writing. There's all sorts of quantum physics writing about this one principle, and it's asking. So I'm not a big Bible reader, but there's a verse in the Bible that's like a blueprint for creating. Asking, it is given. At knocking, the door shall be open to you. Seek and ye shall find. Okay. So if you're just sitting in the woods like I like to go, I'm just sending this energy out into the trees and everything because I feel a oneness there. I feel the connection, the energetic connection with that space. So wherever you go, where do you go? Where do you guys go to when you feel like you are frazzled or disconnecting or disconnected? Where's the powerful place for you? You can throw it in the chat. I have several, but they're mostly in nature.
Mhm.
Yeah. Susan, can you get in the chat?
I don't know where the chat is.
You what? You
I
chatted?
don't know where the chat is.
It should be at the bottom of your screen,
Yes.
and it's got a little bubble, cartoon bubble. It says chat. See that or no?
No. It's all right. Don't worry about it. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna listen.
Yeah, and sometimes
Try and catch up.
sometimes there's a triple thing for more, a triple dot, and you can find it in there.
Oh, more.
So yeah, a garden, a park, the monastery. My aunt, who I adore, would say, I can ask anywhere, but I ask in my church. My place to go is on the cliff. That's like, if I really have an ask that I haven't been able, that's been eluding me, I drive to my cliff top. I mean, I don't take the car on the cliff. I drive to the property, I hike the hike to the cliff, and then I put my hands up and I ask. I feel it, I connect there, then I ask. And I listen. And usually the end of the ask, I say, can you open my ears and open my eyes so I can pay attention and hear? Yeah. So if you don't have a thing like that, which is you could start thinking about where do you go to really think? Where do you go to plug into that creative conduit where you get all your material, Susan? Like, where do you when you really get on a streak of creativity or great ideas? For some people, it's just doing their housework. For some people, it's walking. There's just certain spots that are effective. Mary, where do you go? Oh, nature, monastery, beautiful place. Yeah, okay. So that's great to connect. It's great to find a spot. You know, sometimes for people, it's a semi-noisy environment where their brain can shut down slightly, where there's something taking the edge off of their overthinking, and then they can plug in. So Paul discovered, we talked about active meditation a few weeks ago. I really work hard at that quiet meditating. A lot of people suggest it. I've really worked at it, and sometimes it won't do it for me. I like to bike or run, and when I'm out in activity, that's when my brain starts to relax. So you get to pick. You find a spot. The other thing we talked about that, you know, the topic of being, are you living a half-assed life or all in, is how many of you visualize where you want to go next? Some of you have binders full of ideas. Some of you have a list of things you'd like to do. Some of you just have thoughts. But where are you gathering your, are you practicing your vision? Are you practicing being in your vision? So we've talked quite a bit in our community about you get to already be in the vibration of who you're going to be before you become it. It's like when you're little, you just imagine what you're going to be and you become it like in an instant. You become a firefighter, you become a medic, you become a superhero, you become Tarzan, you become whatever you want to be. You become it immediately. So there's no wasted energy there. As an adult, we start rationalizing it. So one of the techniques I've talked about in the last few weeks is having a fantasy life where you're playing into your future. And instead of just visualizing it and just thinking it's a dream or a pipe dream, or it's kind of a joke, or it's kind of take it seriously, like really get there, really go there. Let your child go there with you. And then a really important aspect of that is feeling it in your arms, feeling it in your chest, feeling it throughout your body. So let's just do that for a second. Not a second. Let's take a couple of minutes. I'm just going to take you on a little vision to where you want to go next. Okay? So you're just going to get relaxed. And you can leave your camera on or off if you want. But I'm just going to take you on a little vision where you're going to take the time to run a little movie that you're creating. Yeah, Susan, I love that. My life is a fantasy life too. I can't tell. I often can't tell the difference between, even when you think about it, is this real or is this part of the dream? Who knows? So what we're going to do right now, and you'll get the replay on this, so you can do this if you find it valuable. You can do it whenever you want. But what we're going to do is have I'm going to take you through a little vision into your future, okay? Okay. Okay, just take some deep breaths. Take a deep breath in. If you want your camera on, you can have it on. If you want it off, you can have it off. It's totally up to you. You can have your mouth hanging open. That's okay. Whatever you want to do. You're breathing in this beautiful, creative air. You're breathing out, you're overanalyzing brain. Breathing in your feelings of freedom of a child, or any idea you had was a beautiful possibility. Letting yourself relax. If it helps, you can put your hand on your heart and you can feel your heart. We've done this where when you feel your heart and you know your heart's been beating since before you were an actual, when you were just an amorphous blob, your heart was beating. It's been taking care of you all this time. All right, take yourself somewhere where you like to go as a child, where you're really creative and imaginative. It can be a real place. It can be an imagined place. It's your place to go in your mind. You can go anywhere you want right now. A place where you're free to run, to play, to imagine, to dream. Everything's taken care of in this place. There's no physical need. There's nothing that you need to take care of besides a dream, painting a dream for yourself, writing a dream. You can go anywhere you want. You can create any future you want. This is yours. So where are you going today? Where are you finding yourself? What does your career look like? And it's not even a career, it's something you love to do, and there's money coming for that thing. The money's just flowing in from that thing. You're not even thinking about that. You're just dreaming and creating. So what are you creating? Who are you in this future? The things that you're creating, who's enjoying these things? Imagine the joy, the satisfaction, the fascination, the fun, the excitement people are experiencing from what you are creating. They're waiting for it. They're already waiting for it. They've been waiting for it. And you're now creating it, and they're happy to have it. They've been waiting for your next thing. Even if they didn't know you, they've been asking for that thing in their own quantum field. And that energy is coming towards you, and you're getting the ideas for it. Feel how fun it is, how satisfying it is to be creating that which you've been wanting to create, knowing it's being well received. And I want you to lock that feeling, feel that feeling. You're standing around these people. Perhaps you're at a book signing. Perhaps you're at a gallery where your work's on display. Perhaps you're being noticed amongst a group of your peers and people who've appreciated and loved your lifetime body of work and how it's changed over time in what you're now offering and how they're able to digest it and how it's affecting them. It could be just they're happy with it. They're feeling satisfaction because it's triggering something in them that they've been wanting to feel. Perhaps you're inspiring a new direction for them with your authenticity, with the way that you're going into your work. Perhaps you've been researching something for quite some time and you haven't known how to produce it. And here in your future, you see that you've created something innovative that's really changing the paradigms from the past. Whatever it is, you realize you have done something that's on the edge, that wasn't here before you. You've allowed yourself to navigate there, and people are really being impacted by it in a beautiful way. You had no idea the impact that you were going to have on people. And then how it feels for you. How does it feel to have created something that you have dreamed about or that you thought was just something way back in the top of your head that you didn't really take seriously? And you finally have created it. And now you have more ideas coming because you walked through that door, you did that, and now you see that each time you walk through a door, that door of creativity and creation, there's an infinite set of doors in front of you that keep going and going. There's no end to it. And all you had to do when you look back is follow that next idea. That's all you had to do, and you did it. And then 3 other ideas availed themselves to you. And then you chose the one that was the best fit. And other ideas continue to show themselves. And your path was navigated by your desire to create. Feel the feeling of it. Does it feel tingly? Do you feel that tingle of creation, of satisfaction, of being big, of having been nervous or possibly fearful about how it was going to play itself out? And you looked into it and you took a step anyway, and more things open. And now you realize that every time you're making an expansion, there's that little edge there that you thought was fear. You might even still call it fear, but it really was an expansion moment. It was just something unknown. And you allowed yourself to step into it, look at it. You surrounded yourself with other tools to support you. It may have been a coach, it may have been a friend, it may have been a book, but you continued to move. And you've come to the point now where you know that whenever you have a great idea or a inkling to try something, there's going to be that exciting edge that feels like fear, or it feels like the unknown, and you're taking it. You're saying yes to it. And in saying yes to it, the map, the roadmap, the path appears each time. So as you start coming forward out of this, you're carrying with you the feelings that you just got to experience of seeing the impact of what you're creating, and to see that the map unfolds and shows itself as you go, and that all the exciting feelings of fear, energy, excitement, unknown are in tandem with your creation. They're part of your creation. So just take a couple deep breaths. Just remember the feelings that you felt in that meditation or in that visualization. And then open your eyes and come back, put your camera back on. Anybody want to share what they experienced there?
I like what you said about ideas keep coming, because that's the thing that stops me a lot. I said, like, I finish something and then I don't know what to start next. I get there's like a block around ideas. So I don't know how you kind of overcome that, or just is it relaxing to it, or what? What's your take on that?
I have come to know that whenever I'm going to do my next big thing, there's going to be a big resistance with it.
Okay.
Just as big as my new idea, and the bigger the idea, the bigger those possible fears, whatever they are. I hate to call them fears, but I don't mind saying they're a fear and looking right at them, because then when I do look right at them, I realize they're not as big as I thought they were.
Okay.
So what's your fear? What's your biggest fear? Do you want to play in this realm right now?
It's just well, actually, I have an idea for another book now. So that's actually happened last week, which actually happened by accident, a conversation with somebody. But I was like, oh my God, when that's finished, will I have another one? It's kind of
Yeah.
like
So what's
yeah.
your biggest fear there?
That I won't make it. Is it? I'm not sure. Yeah.
You're not sure.
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
Oh, it's anxiety. Yeah.
And what is the worst thing that can happen to you? Like, think of the very worst thing, and you can keep going deeper, but you have anxiety. What's the anxiety about?
I suppose that I'll fail, or that I won't succeed, or that I won't that it won't be good enough, or it's back again about money and good enough. Yeah, it's back to that. Yeah.
Yeah. And what if you don't even try it?
Okay. So that's the key to unlock the door to try
I
it.
mean, what happens to you if you don't try it? What happens there? How do you feel about that?
Yeah. You go around in circles. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, how do you feel about yourself if you just stop there and you don't try it?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
It's
Tell
kind
me.
of
Tell me.
it's kind of like, oh my God, it's kind of like, you know, the bus or the train passing by and you're not getting on it. That's kind of the feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, so what's worse? The feeling of maybe not succeeding or the feeling of not even trying it?
Yeah, I have to try.
Is it worse?
Yeah.
So now how
Yeah.
do you feel? Now how do you feel about the anxiety, knowing that it's worse for you not to try it?
Yeah.
So now what do you think?
I'll go for it. Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. If your biggest fear is you could fail, and then you realize really your biggest fear is life is going to pass you by,
Mm,
then you're like, well, that first fear isn't the real one.
yeah.
And I'm not interested in it passing me by. So actually my biggest fear isn't failing. You know what I'm saying? It's not failing isn't my
Yeah.
biggest fear.
Yeah.
So can you see how revealing it is to look at your fear
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
out what it's about? Because it's often not about what you think it is.
And, you know, the other kind of fear I have is that I wouldn't make enough money with what I'm doing. But, you know, I have the security of the social welfare at the minute, which is pittance. It's security, but no freedom with it. But
Right.
if I break free of that, I will have freedom, but will I have enough coming in? So that's another fear that I have, and I don't know how to break free of that.
Yeah. So the first one is you fear that you don't know if you'll make enough money. So if you
Yeah.
don't try it, how will you know?
Okay. Yeah.
How, if you just sit there and you don't release your ideas, how will you feel about yourself?
Well, I won't be very happy. Yeah.
And what repercussions will that have on your life?
Oh, my confidence will go down. I won't be giving my gifts to the world. I won't feel it'll affect my self-esteem. It'll, you know, all those kind of things. Yeah.
So you won't look as beautiful as you've been looking lately. Lately, every time we see you, you look more radiant than the last time.
Well, I think
You guys,
it's actually the gamble that I'm taking with the new digital skills program that's making a big difference. And I got great help from people as well, that actually encouraged me to do it. And I think that has really helped. And
did I hear you
yeah.
say you're looking better because you're taking a gamble? How strange. What do you think taking a gamble is doing for your for who you are, for your spirit?
It's letting me soar
Yeah, I
into the
mean, you're
sky.
smiling a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot in this. You can see, everybody who's listening, you can see there's a lot in this. There's a lot you can unpack here. So if you don't try it, how do you feel staying where you are? How about playing it safe and staying right
No,
where you are?
no, it's not good for me because my money, I'm just above the red, just above. And if anything happens, I will be below it, and that's dangerous.
Okay, so actually what you're saying is you really don't have a good reason not to do it. That's really
Yeah.
what you're telling us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must do it. I have to do it. Yeah.
Okay, so do you feel any freer right now about
I think so.
navigating?
Yeah, I think it's giving myself, permission. I think that's the biggest thing, and to take that chance and take that gamble. Yeah.
If your fear is unsubstantiated, if your fear isn't really what your fear was about, and then your fear is you might not make enough money, and if you don't do it, you're not making enough money anyway. What you've just told us is you really don't have anything to lose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once I know that about my situation, it frees me.
Yeah.
I can just know it. Now, if you don't look into the fear or the weird feeling or that whatever that feeling is, that blocking, if you don't look at it, often you don't get to see how it's really quite ridiculous on some level. But if you leave it as this big ball of fear that keeps getting more and more important. So like, did you ever watch Pee-wee's Playhouse?
Yeah.
A long time ago, he would collect little pieces of foil and he'd roll a giant ball out and add a little piece to it. And it would sound like a boulder was rolling. But it's like you have a little fear and you don't look at it. And then it gets bigger, 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 bigger. Pretty soon you never even look at it because it's like, oh, it's a big fear. And it's, oh, I can feel the resistance. But now in a simple way, we just looked at your fear just for a couple of minutes.
Mm.
And if you can do this yourself, but it's nice if you need to, you can do it with a coach, you can do it with me. You can say, what is my biggest fear? And then you write it down. And then you read it and you say, is that really my biggest fear? So what if that happens? What if that happens? Then what's my biggest fear? And I discovered my biggest fear in not accomplishing something I set out to do, earlier this year. Ultimately was me looking like I don't keep my word. It was about my personal integrity. And once I realized it was just about that, I realized I'm willing to take a hit. I'm willing to risk not achieving it, saying I was going to achieve it and not achieving it. If that's the worst thing, I'm willing to do it. And I'm even willing. I was able to discover what I was willing to lose. I'm willing to invest. I haven't had a lot of money in the past, and I'm willing to lose a major chunk of money and fail versus not trying it, which is what you just discovered in a way. You're willing to fail. You're willing to not make enough money. You're willing to try it because there's no downside. You're already living on a shoestring budget.
It's terrible.
And every time you try something new, you've had more and more things coming to you, right?
Yeah.
Like Mary's been saying yes to little things, and it leads to the next bigger thing. And now what have you had happen? You had some poetry published.
Yeah.
You got to read your poetry at an event. You're starting to get feedback from people. What else did I miss?
Oh, on the strength of winning the shortlisting and the poetry prize, my English teacher is going to edit my poetry so it's ready for publication. So that's a huge, huge thing to do. Yeah.
And you were nominated for a poetry prize, right?
Yeah. Well,
And
shortlisted. I didn't win.
But that's a big deal.
No,
See,
it's big. It's a huge deal. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
One of the things when I got my master's, one of the lecturers said, I'm a wonderful writer, but I lacked self-belief. Now, I presume, look, I was in a different place then as well, but how do I kind of feel I have self-belief? Do you know what I mean? Or is that, I don't know what, have you any answers for that?
are you developing self-belief since we?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get to keep working on it. You get to keep seeing yourself. So each time the people in this community, what I have them do is they make a poster, or they make a piece of artwork, or they do something that's kind of in their space that they can't ignore, that is taking track of the things they're doing, and it's giving them a next step. So Paul, for example, Jim, for example, said yes to some coaching months ago. He's not on the call. He's going to be listening to the replay. As soon as he said yes, a number of the things he wanted to work on started rectifying themselves.
Okay.
So I had him note that. Carlene has been noting all of the different things. Carlene, do you want to come off of mute and say the string of things that happened to support you once you started putting your momentum in a yes direction and then taking note of it?
Okay, I'll give it a try. If I start coughing, I'll go off mute, onto mute again. There have been a string of things happening, big, small, seemingly insignificant, but things that resulted from my way of being and stepping into that space of knowing who I am. One of them is company related, in that I get to deal with a labor matter with a disgruntled former employee. who's taking us to court. And I had actually been in such a state and being stuck in not knowing how to deal with it and feeling victimized, that on a call with Anne, she took me through an exercise, talking me through through my ways of being. And then with that in mind, I literally stepped up to the plate in a way that honored who I am, relied on my strengths, and the ripple effect of that is, whether it's significant events that I deal with or whether it's day-to-day work stuff, I get to take a moment, recognize who I am, and then enter my workspace from that mentality and that way of being in a way that's just been ridiculously awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna give your voice a break for a second. So she's
Okay,
talking about
thank
ways of being. So our ways of being are, if you're being confident, creative, those are ways of being. It's a weird way to talk, but those are ways of being. So insecure could be a way of being that you don't want to be. So when you think about who are you at your core, and I've had people make a list of these things. Who are you at your core? So 3 of the things that I often will say quickly is I'm a joyful, confident, inspiring leader. Okay, and there's a lot of things I know I am that I don't have to repeat. I repeat joyful, confident, inspiring because I was leaving those behind regularly. I was getting to the point in my life where I was not being joyful, even though I always consider myself joyful. I wasn't being confident, even though I consider myself a confident person. So if someone says, who are you? Who do you say you are? And so those are ways of being. And what ways of being do you get to add that you've been leaving behind? So Carlene's saying, I'm courageous, resilient, and inspire and ignite others with her energy, joy, and enthusiasm. Those things may seem trivial, but when you say them, when you remind yourself who you are, Mary, then you won't be always asking other people how you can figure out who you are. You are who you are. You're born who you are. And then you develop more and more qualities and characteristics. So to me, when you are, and this is in Anne's world, when you're not being your powerful self, you are leaving some of yourself off the table. You are over time, different things have happened in your life, and for some reason you have either suppressed, moved away, or quieted down some of the things that you really truly are. Maybe you used to get in trouble for it. Maybe someone criticized you for it. Maybe you felt hurt one time and you decided you would close that. But and you can choose new ways of being. You don't have to be stuck with something. So if you haven't been confident, like you've been second guessing yourself for a long time, Mary, you could decide I'm confident, and you could work on it.
Okay.
And when you decide you're going to go to you're going to go meet with some people about your writing, you can say to yourself, I'm a confident, creative writer. I'm a sensitive, perceptive, creative, confident author. And how does that feel when you say that?
Yeah, it's better. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of saying, oh, I haven't been making money. Oh, I don't know. You can say, so when Carlene's talking about ways of being, she reminds herself, we did some exercises where she's been really using this as a powerful tool. She locks in, and we did a visualization similar to what I do with you with vision. I just turned on some music. We went into a space wherever you want to go, and I just grounded her in her energy, in her stature, in everything, and we locked it into a like a fist. And she can do that, and I've done that with a number of you guys. She can do this. Carlene, do you want to make another comment about that?
Yeah, maybe just to I'm very visually attuned. So I actually envision myself being surrounded by almost like a force field, like some other bohemian warrior woman surrounded by this force field, that when I get into a situation that wants me to climb into an old victim mindset, I literally run through the exercise, climb into my space of wondrous being, and then face it with a sense of empowerment. So I don't have to feel victimized by it any longer.
Yeah, and if you guys want to do that near the end of this session, I can do it with you. I had her stand and I just talked her through a visualization and who she looks like and the energy around her, and you create it yourself, but it's powerful. To me, we're all superheroes, and it's funny. I know, Susan, you do Marvel comic book writing, and I just see all of us as superheroes. We all have our superhero strengths. And so
Is it like what you said some other time about writing down your wins, like what you're winning at? What is that?
I would always, yes, I highly suggest, when you're going to think about things, instead of thinking about the crap, you think about all the things that are going in your favor. All the things that you've been doing that keep going in your favor. How when you are standing in your power, when you are just paying attention, great things just keep happening to you. You're meeting the right people, you're seeing the right things, you're getting the right ideas, you're following the right hunches. You know the difference between your strong, authentic direction and an insecurity that's trying to lead you off into the side, into the dirt. I do that kind of stuff in my meditation, in my visualization. I'll talk that way to myself. And I'll start saying it to people. Great things are happening to me every day. You wouldn't believe how many great things happen around me, for me. You start speaking that momentum. I'm a great person. And if your past things, Mary, start popping up, you can say, yeah, I had a few tough years where I lost track of my real true power, but now I'm standing in it again. Every day, it seems like I feel like I'm more powerful than yesterday. And those things might seem trivial, but they're super effective. You are powerful. You are a unique being in this universe. There's nobody who's you. You're it. You're the one of one. So you get to, instead of looking at the things that have a detriment in or your struggles, you get to focus most of your attention on your magnificence. That's how you're going to create your next big thing. It's not by saying you're not great. Paul, you've got a comment. Sorry.
Well, I was just reflecting on how I'm bouncing back and forth this week between fear and excitement myself, and trying to maintain some distance from the automatic negative thoughts that want to creep in about, why this thing might not work, or why I might not be successful at it. And I'm going through a process of developing a pro forma and a business plan that I'm using as a kind of a mechanism for visualizing what it is I want to do with this new venture, and have a space picked out that I'm trying to work out a deal for, and been back to that space in my mind, actually physically a couple of times this week, took a bunch of pictures, but in my mind, I was spending a lot of time there yesterday, and also wanted to reflect that I also have the experience of when something big and good is right around the corner, there's also something big and bad right around the other corner or behind me trying to pull me back. And I've experienced a lot of very positive God winks and good experiences the past couple of weeks that are helping me believe in the direction I'm going, and not so much negativity. So that's kind of where I stand.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Not a second, more than a second. So what if there aren't things waiting to pull you back?
What if there are not things waiting to pull
Yeah,
you
like
back?
how do you know there are things waiting to pull you back? Bad things.
Just because of some dreams I'm having and some negative thoughts that I'm having every now and then. And, there's always the personal specter of failure and, nothing tangible. I don't,
So that's just
hard to
interesting.
explain.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain.
I just think that's powerful you're giving some energy, a lot of power that hasn't proven itself right now. How did it feel to be physically and just emotionally in your space in the last couple days?
Oh, it felt good. It felt very energizing. Felt powerful. I actually was getting some very good vibes in the space. It seemed to be the whole idea of the energy fields and things are still a little bit beyond my grasp and understanding, but I felt like I had a little bit of an exposure to that this week when I was back in the space and seeing how it could be set up for the classes that I want to teach, and how some other display elements could be added, and seeing people in there, visualizing people in there for an opening reception.
As you're doing that, what's been happening around you? You've been meeting some people, right?
Yes, some people that have seen my work on display in a couple of places downtown, and I called them out of the blue because their name popped up on a web search when they had just seen my work in one of the gallery spaces. That's actually becoming that led me to this one of the spaces that I'm looking at, and I now have a meeting with these people tomorrow to get involved with them on a development project they're putting together. So things are moving, and I think I'm just jumping on for the ride to see what happens.
I'd love it. I'd love to have something actually force you to crack a smile, Paul. You did it.
Carlene's message about Paul's tango with the red skirt here.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. So when I talked in the first week of content in the last 5 weeks, I talked about you creating evidence. So you've got this kind of energy that's like this counter energy that you describe that's going to pull you back, but you've got all this evidence. You've just got a massive amount of evidence of if you're doing the active meditation, if you're doing the visualizing, if you are staying away from the negative past momentum, all sorts of things keep coming into your realm. And Mary, these are the things that I would be documenting. So Paul should be documenting, and he's an artist, so he could put this on a big board on the wall. He could put this on a post. He could get a big jar, and every time something fantastic shows up that seems serendipitous, or like, how did that happen, or what a coincidence, you can write it down and throw it in the jar. And then when you forget, you can take it out. Or when you forget, you can see. What I like about making a list out of it, or a poster, like Christy's been making a poster, and then she started putting glitter on it and doing other things to it. I like having it visual so you can see the steps that you created. You did this happened. You visualized this guy's name came up on the internet, you contacted it. He already was doing something similar to you, whatever it is, this woman where you're getting your apartment from, all of a sudden she's got another art space, blah, 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 blah. You've got a huge list of things that are presenting themselves to you. If you don't take note of them, they slip by and you forget, and you go back into thinking that you're kind of unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? You're living a kind of an unfortunate life, when actually you're in the big time flow right now. And to me, you get to say thank you to whatever that, and you get to say thank you to yourself for getting in the flow and listening and seeing and taking action on baby steps. So you get to say thank yourself because you're a master creator. And then you also get to send out that appreciation wherever you send it. For you, you've been going and connecting spiritually. You've been going to you're connecting with God. You've been going to spiritual groups and things like that. So go in there, say thank you, take a note of it, talk about all the great things that have been coming your way and how appreciative you are. I go into nature, and I was in Maine this last week. There was the most giant tree trunk of a white pine I had seen, and I had to go hug it. And I happened to be talking to Susan, and I took her by the tree trunk. But I had to press my face up on it. I had to put my arms around it. And that was a spot where I said, thank you for everything that I'm experiencing in my life right now. And that opens you to more and more. And it's not like you say thank you to get more. I said, thank you. Now, where is it? Where is it now? But it's the feeling. It's Abraham Hicks talks about love being the highest vibration of appreciation. My dad doesn't like to say I love you because he says the word love gets so twisted. I love a milkshake. Like, I love that road. I love that thing. I love that couch. I love my couch. I love that pillow. I love you. You know, what the heck? So he just would say, and after I talked to him for a long time, like this week, twice he told me he loved me, and I'm still at a count under 10 times, but I got it twice this week. But anyway, he says instead, I have the highest level of appreciation for this. And then I know what he means. But when you're feeling that, like something, you were thinking something, you were dreaming of it, you were visualizing it, you were feeling it. Oh, that feels good. Oh my God, it feels good to feel that I'm at my art opening and I sold it out. It's sold out. And I had the prices that valued me, and people said yes. And I got all this money, and it came from me. These people love it. They're taking it home. They love it. That feels great. And you're sending out that appreciation. Thank you for, whatever that is. I don't know, when I'm even talking about it, I get goosebumps. That puts you in the vicinity of many, many more beautiful things. So Mary, you get to create evidence of your great decision making and the way you've been getting into the flow. You get to put all those details in detail because you told your crap story in detail for years. Think of the detail that you tell your garbage stories. Put that kind of effort and detail in your good stories. And make the bad ones, make the one thing that didn't quite work out, make it tiny. Make it small. Forget about it. Or maybe that thing was just directing you to the next thing that you're supposed to have. Like Paul had 3 apartments in the on deck circle. He told us he really wanted this one because it's by this park he loves. That's the one he's getting. That's the one he's getting now. Thanks.
It's really interesting because I was down in another city a couple of weeks ago, and the journey I was on is over essentially, and they were delighted that they saw me so much better, and they said my confidence was much better, and yeah, that it was a dream come true. So that was really positive to hear from people that kind of said before that I don't think you're able for work, you're not there, like, and they kind of want to know what the change was. Yeah, so that was really interesting.
What did you tell them? What did you say?
Well, I think I said it was the fact that I got the Ludgate Reignite program. It certainly helped in shifting a lot. That was one thing.
What's really happening, Mary? Come on.
I think here is helping. Here is helping as well.
Thank you for that. But what's happening within you? What's happening within you? I love taking credit for everybody's success. I love that. But
I think
what are you doing?
I'm more open to it, and I'm willing to take the little steps. Or I think as well what's helping is that I'm a little bit more positive, which is helping as well. I think
more confident, more positive,
yeah.
willing to think a new way, willing to try something different.
Yeah.
And now you're telling stories more often on the Facebook page. You are the best at this right now. She goes into the Facebook page and she puts down something that she did and something that's happening. This just happened. That's taking note of the positive things. This just happened.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is for.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carlene, the jar idea, you could even, you could wrap things in a beautiful way so they become this beautiful collection of ideas, things. You can do, if you're artistic, you can do lots of stuff. You could do a pin the tail on the donkey. Every time it's a great idea, it goes on the donkey. Anyway, you could have some fun with it is what I'm trying to say. Christy, you talked about here how you're feeling. I wish you'd come on camera. Are you able to do that? You said that you lost all joy and who you are. You want to talk to me about that? Talk to us about that, or?
For some reason, I messaged Carlene and asked her, I'm like, can you see me? Because it was just coming up as a black screen. So I tried. I don't know.
Okay, well, at least you're on your voice here. So tell us what's going on here.
No, I was actually just typing in there because so what stuck with me is what you said to me this week when you said, what is the worst that can happen? When you're like, what? They could say no. Like, I think I like little things. I'm like, what's the worst? Like what? So that's something that literally is almost like a go-to right now. Like what's the worst someone could say to me if I, like have to bring up something that I normally wouldn't, because I don't like to disrupt that peace that everybody, I like to just keep the peace and then I suffer.
She's jumping right to our last week of content because I wrote it specifically for her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
I often write the content based on what the community needs. So let's jump over there for a second. So Christy, what are you talking about? Advocating for yourself?
Like advocating for myself and just like, it's almost like I like while you've been talking, I've just been like doodling thoughts. Like, I just want peace for myself. And I'm so worried about not disrupting everybody else's peace. And it's almost like a thing. It's like a story going on in my life. And I'm just like, I want to escape that. Like I just visualizing myself like shattering, almost like that bubble around me. Like I want peace, but I'm so worried. And so all I do is think about everybody else's peace and everybody else that it's struggle.
Yeah. So everybody gets their own peace.
Yeah.
Peace, P-I-E-C-E, P-E-A-C-E. Everybody gets their own. So here's an idea. when you feel like your vision or your creation is going to take from somebody else, that are you holding them high or are you holding them small, big or small?
I always hold them higher above myself. I always hold everybody above myself.
Okay, so I want comments from anybody here. If I was afraid to be my biggest because it would take something from you, am I giving you a lot of credit or just a little credit? Am I holding you as a big, capable person or a small person? You know what I'm saying here?
I remember I remember my father used to be selling in the animals at the mart, and somebody new would come on the scene doing the same, and he would just say, "There's room for everybody." So that was kind of a nice way. It was just something that stuck out in my head. It's just a really, because it's positive as well.
Great. So we live in an abundant universe. Because somebody is succeeding, does that mean somebody else can't? Does your success take away from someone else's ability to succeed? So there's the idea of holding someone high. When you're holding someone high, that means you are seeing them in their greatness. Christy, are you seeing the people around you in your greatness if you have to be small so they can succeed?
I mean, that's how I do, but I
But
always,
is it seeing like are you seeing your children in the fullness of who they are if you succeeding would keep them from succeeding?
no, and it's almost like it's not, it's other people, other relationships in my life. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Everybody gets to be big.
Yeah.
All of you get to be big, your biggest. When you're your biggest, do you think you're going to be serving more or serving less in the world?
More.
Yeah. So Christy and I had a conversation this week about advocating. How many of you, when you okay, so you know what you like, you know what you don't like, you know what your preferences are, you know pretty much where you're going. If someone comes up to you and they're excited or they want to go in another direction, do you speak up or you just go in their direction? Do you advocate for your own beliefs and direction in your life, or do you feel uncomfortable to say something and you go along with the group, or you go along with whoever spoke first? What do you find yourself doing? I'll use myself as an example. I've used this example a few times. Recently, I discovered that I get super choked, like someone's choking me, when I need to ask for something around my calendar. I work 2 days a week supporting and launching a small tech company. It's my brother's small tech company. And he is running a different company. And it's a little over his head, and like the extra skills it takes to do that company. So, because I'm only in the office 2 days a week, I often have to get my power cord. See, I'm not that organized, am I? What I'm saying is, because I only work 2 days a week in his office, I feel incredibly awkward about ever asking him if I can have a couple of days like out of the office or reschedule. And so someone let me know the other day that I'm not holding my brother high when I don't give him an opportunity to understand my needs, and I don't give him the opportunity to to say yes or no, or to work with me. And I looked into that. Why am I so scared to advocate for myself? it's just a simple thing. I'll know weeks ahead of time. Why can't I just say to my brother, you know, I've got something coming up. How can I still serve you at the office and also get this training completed? I don't even want to ask him that because I feel so choked on it. So in the last 2 years, I did some training and a coach took me all the way back to me being reprimanded in front of my family when I was really little for being spontaneous. And he would have been there. He would have seen that over and over, me getting kind of beat up for saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. And over time, I developed a story. Well, right there, I developed a story that if I'm spontaneous and I speak up too quickly, I could get punished in a big way. So I stopped asking and I felt some level of humiliation. It's a long winding road and everybody interprets things their own way. It doesn't mean they're right and it doesn't mean they're wrong. But to make a long story short, I had some shame around speaking up for myself, specifically around my family members who were around me when I was little and I was getting punished like that. And when I looked into it, my brother has never said no to me. Really, the evidence was that I could talk to him. But Christy, my feeling was still so overwhelming from some earlier time period that even today, when I think about it and I'm talking to you about it, I still have some choking around if I'm going to ask him to switch my schedule, if I can switch my schedule. It's so childish when I think about it, but it's something that's embedded deep in a pain and a shame. And what I'm doing is I'm discovering each time. So for me to go to Maine, 2 weeks before I went to Maine, I let my brother know I was going to Maine. I would be working remotely there for 2 days. And he didn't say a word about it. It was no problem. So there's another bit of evidence that I don't have to be scared or worried about advocating for myself. There's something deep in there, Christy, for you, that you're not asking for what you need. And we can go deep into it. We can go deeper into it. But there's something there.
Yeah, I will have to like really think about that, like, and take myself back, because I feel like it's like that with like a lot of little things, even if it's something so stupid, like I feel like I still get almost like it's like kind of choked, like you're like, it makes me like sick.
Yeah, it's your throat chakra. It's tight and it's closed. And I used to just think I was stressed here, but from what I've read, and I'm not a specialist on chakras, but it's what are you afraid to say? What are you not saying? What do you need to say?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something we could dig into further in the pod. But I would say that when it's something that you should easily be able to do and you can't do it, there's something in there hiding in there. You know, there's some story that you made up to protect yourself that's keeping you from moving forward. So then how does that make you feel when you can't? How is that making you feel? That you feel unable to speak up, otherwise you're taking more space than you should?
I feel weak. Like I feel weak. I feel like it almost like it digs me into this hole, because I'm like, I lost like my power, or it's like, it's almost like I lay down and give up, if that like makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hate it, because I, like, you talk so much about like the joy and the confidence, and I'm like, dang, like I was that person. Like I was the person that everybody would be like, oh, like Christy, you just light up a room. Like you'll talk to everybody. You are so personable. You're this and this. And then it's like, where did that person go?
Yeah.
Like it's yeah.
Yeah. So I want you to do some investigating this week. So feel the feeling of not speaking up for yourself. Feel that in your throat.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want you to think about where else you felt that before. And what's the earliest time you can remember feeling that way? Just play in there this week. Just do some discovery without a lot of stress. Just, where have I felt that before? When else did I feel that? Was there an earlier time that I felt that? Was there an earlier time that I felt that? As Susan says, everyone has their own issues and are rarely overly concerned with yours. It's so true. We're so tongue-tied about advocating for ourselves, and people don't really care that much. It's just a basic request. I can say to my brother, I feel so like I'm letting him down if I'm just rescheduling. I'm still doing my work. I'm just rescheduling it. So that, when it's way bigger than it should be, when it's way bigger than, Susan, you have something you want to add?
Yeah, that struck me because my mom, my family, whoever in my family always said that, everybody's so wrapped up in themselves that they're not, most of the time, they're not looking into like, well, what is Anne feeling about what I'm saying and stuff like that. And when you said, it's like as if you went to Maine, you got you talked to him, you went to Maine for 2 days, you came back, and then you talk to him, you call him on the phone, you say, I'm home. And he says, you were in Maine? Because he's not, his priority is not, nobody's priorities are your priorities. Your priority is your own priorities. And everybody else has 17 different things that they're thinking about. It's like when I get nervous when I haven't heard from somebody in a while. This happens to me, right? And I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do wrong? Did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? Blah, blah. And no, he was like getting a haircut, and didn't have his phone with him. And, we worry so much about what other people think that we just got to, I've stopped worrying, mostly worrying about what other people think, except in certain situations.
Yeah.
But like, I don't really care what people on Facebook think of me, or people in social networking think of me, or, or people in the store or whatever. Let all that go. Let that go.
Yeah. So that's a great perspective on what most people are thinking. Most people are just organizing their day, doing their own thing, not concerned. But if you, like Christy, and for me, when I have the scheduling that I get to continue to work through and create a new paradigm for, when you're finding yourself absolutely locked on something small like that, that it's in you, and it's something that you get to coach through with me, or get some shift on. Because Carlene had that early interaction with me in our first MasterClass, and she made some massive discoveries about what she believed about her childhood. Carlene, how has that opened up your world with your family?
Sorry, coughing. I think it's really grounded us and brought us much closer. There's a much deeper sense of appreciation for what everyone contributes and why and how it fits together in a sense that I haven't experienced before.
Yeah.
So
and
there's really
what was your belief about your position in your family that day that we talked?
Yeah, it was that I shouldn't be visible. I didn't belong. I was a late born third daughter that put a lot of strain on my family for their survival, for what they needed to do. And being such a surprise, I took that on as my own responsibility for being there and not belonging. And in that I took on a belief that I wasn't supposed to be there and had to make everyone's load lighter in the process. Something to that extent. It feels so healed that I actually no longer know exactly what the hurt point was.
Isn't that fantastic? It's like
having worked through it.
It's like you're forgetting it now because it's not true. So she came in, Christy, and she was even off camera the whole time saying she had connectivity issues. And then she said she wasn't supposed to be seen or heard. And then by the time we're partially through counseling or just digging in, her camera pops up. She makes some new discoveries about how actually loved she was. And it's shifted major things for her. So I have a feeling there's something in there, Christy, that that you're feeling afraid to take space for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's that whole like, if it can relate to like walking, like, you know how you feel like you're like walking on eggshells, or you have to tiptoe around that certain feeling. Like, I feel like that's like all related.
So how early, what's the earliest you remember feeling like you had to walk around on eggshells?
I mean, I would have to say like maybe like my teens. Like, I mean, I really can't think of something like before. I mean, there's like little things of like almost feeling like an inconvenience, like with, you know, when we were younger, wanting to do certain things, and, you know, my parents were like struggling financially, and my dad had a company that was like, you know, going under, and like it was such an inconvenience to be like, you know, I want to go do something like as a kid, and they're like, you know, we can't. But then like it's like giving them the guilt trip, and then they, you know, them doing it. It's like all of that, but those are like all little things I remember like getting like that feeling like, oh, like I felt bad, like I shouldn't have asked. Or
How early did your family shift in the way that it was a family?
I think a lot of like my mixed memories were like when I was in first grade.
Yeah. What was going on there?
Just my dad owned a construction company, like he built houses, and I know like during that time like the economy was like up and down, and he had built our house, and he had done it on his own with like the help of some of my uncles. But like the winter was so bad that like the one year I remember like the one side of the house fell down in the winter, and like so it took him like 2 years to build this house. And then like we moved into this house, and then my two older sisters like moved out, and they had like their own life issues. And then like, so it was like at that moment that I kind of have like the mixed memories of like my family, and, you know, starting to be like wanting different, you know, like starting to.
So could you ask why? So why couldn't you ask for what you wanted then, or could you?
I think it was just like, you know, it's still like being a kid, and you don't realize what parents deal with. I was so like pushy on like wanting to do things or wanting to be a part of what other friends were doing. And I think that like through elementary school, like that was a thing. Other kids get to do this. Why can't I? And like, you know.
Okay, so I want you to do some investigation this week into different instances where you feel like you can't ask for what you want, which would be easy to ask for normally, but you feel like you're taking up too much space. Okay? I want you to just investigate in there.
Okay.
Now, since coming into the community, are you still feeling disconnected from yourself? Are you still feeling unhappy? Like you lost all your joy?
I think it just comes and goes in waves. But I think it's the, I don't want to say like trauma, but it's dealing with like my trouble. I think now stems for me losing my voice in like the past relationship that I dealt with.
Okay.
So I think that took a lot. I feel like it took a lot from me, and working on healing from that or getting over it, I stumbled backwards.
Okay, so you've been working on a poster, right?
Yeah.
Did you drop the ball on that, or are you still working on it?
I mean, I've dropped the ball on some degrees, like when I stopped, like it's been like 2 weeks since I stopped the
Okay.
me time.
Yeah, because you've been struggling.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is really plug it back into your me time that you were taking in the morning,
Okay.
and add to the list and look over the list. If you don't have a bunch of new things that you did, like you joined the gym, you were starting to exercise,
Mm-hmm.
you know, look back over your momentum list that you started to create, your yes to you, your
My fuck
Yeah.
yes.
yeah, your fuck yes poster.
That's a
Okay.
great idea. I like that.
Yeah.
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you could see you were doing really well, and then you unplugged from that, and then you
Yeah.
start. So I
It
was
was-
talking with Christy a little bit about this. You know, I have a path that goes down to my cliff. And when I bought my property, the path went a certain way, but I wanted it to go another way. So I had a friend come and help me, and we kind of like struggled through this side area to create a different path. But the deer were still walking on the first path. It was really easy to find that path. And I would find myself on it. I'd find myself all of a sudden on the old path. And I'd have to remind myself where the new one was, and get back to the new one, kind of prune it up a little bit and get on it. Now, when I'm there, I can't really find the old path anymore, but it's taken years. And that's how, like a new habit. So when you're doing a new habit, you're forging a new path, and it doesn't feel that comfortable. And so as you'll find yourself all of a sudden, because you got a muscle memory for it, going back, and it's comfortable even though it's not great. So Christy, you going back to not doing your me time and not taking note of the things that have been working for you, it's probably feeling comfortable on some level because you're going back into a space that's very familiar, but it doesn't work well anymore. So then you have to kind of remind yourself, wait, I started this new path, and it does take effort to keep it going, but I'm going to go back onto the new path, and I'm going to let this old path continue to start to grow over, because I'm not going to be on it very often. So you'll be there once in a while. You'll go back once in a while, but you'll go there less and less. So what I want you to remember about this, and it was in the content this month, if you kind of regress, you're not going back to zero. You're never going back to zero, because you already started the new path. You already started clearing it. You already started walking it. Okay. So just pick back up where you left off. Get back to your poster, add some things. If you don't have anything to add, just go back over what you did that got you to where you were and how great it felt, and create a new momentum there, or regenerate your momentum there. Okay.
Yes. And I think I might need to steal your visualization on your path, because
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap, like I love that. Like I had an old path and I just have to let that one grow.
Right. It takes a while. So a lot of times when people are shifting a habit, you created that habit for a reason. It was serving something. It was soothing you. It was satisfying something. And then, so when you go to leave it, sometimes you can thank it. You know what I'm saying? You can thank the part of it that was serving you. Let's say it's a bad habit. Let's say it's not a terrible habit, but it's one you don't want to continue with. Yeah. I have a number of people in the community who have habits they've developed that they're not happy with, and they're working to shift those. And they're pretty addictive and embedded habits. And I'll just say it. I talk about it regularly. I have a sugar thing. Sugar isn't good for you. It's connected to love in my family. It's connected to bakery. It's connected to all sorts of things. And it's also connected to a treat. And we didn't often get treats, and it was considered indulgent. I love to indulge myself. If there's going to be someone who's nice to me, it's going to be me. But then I get to know that I am the one in control of all my choices. So I can have a treat whenever I want. When do I really want one? When is it healthy? how could it be integrated in my life?
Mhm.
So you get to look at and choose. Yes, Susan.
I'm talking about that from a perspective of what we study in the Jedi community, and we did a like a contest where it was called the Game On diet, where we had to keep points and everything. And what you do is, with as far as like sweets or treats or something you treat yourself to that's not really great for you, but it's not terrible for you, is just pick a day and say, okay, Saturday's my cheat day.
Yeah.
That's it. Saturday night, I get to have ice cream while I watch, Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny you mentioned
settle on
that.
and if you get comfortable with that, then you have something. It gives you something to look forward to. You're not, going to gain weight from it, from having ice cream once a week or whatever, and it'll make you feel good.
Yeah.
When you're experiencing it.
It is funny you said that's exactly what I started 2 weeks ago. It was on Sunday, I'll bake and I'll take that bakery to my parents' house or
I
something.
bake for the people in my building.
Yeah.
The people who work in the office in my building, and my mom and everybody else in the
Yeah.
world too. So
Yeah.
So what's your advice for starting new habits? Like, is it just pushing through the effort, or keep going, just being consistent with the effort of making it happen? Is it?
It's going back to all the stuff we've been talking about today. What do you want? Visualize it. Why do you
Okay.
want it? What's it going to give you? Imagine the feeling of already having it, being it. Then it helps you, so it supports you. Then set up
Okay.
a structure that like this poster is creating a structure of
Yeah.
habits.
Yeah.
Set up a structure of habits. If
you
you're not
do that?
if you're not sticking with it, ask yourself, why are you not sticking with it? I'm a proponent of talking to yourself. I definitely am. You ask the part of yourself that's belligerent to what you want to do, why it's resisting. Why do you keep doing that? Why
Yeah,
what are you afraid of losing? So for me, if I were to give up the dessert, which I have changed the way my relationship with it, my relationship with being the dessert bringer. A lot of times now I'm the great salad bringer. So I've allowed myself to be known for and celebrated for some other things besides that. So I've been working over time because I have a great loving association with part of it. So if I were to say I'm not going to have it anymore, part of me will feel punished. Part of me will feel like it doesn't want to let go of that. So either I get to develop some habits where I'm getting the love, the connectedness, the things that I was getting there, I'm getting in another action. So
the reason I want to ask you is, one of the things that I found very difficult was prose, like writing fiction, and it was blood, sweat and tears. But I know it's a mental thing rather than, and I'd love to be able to do it, but it's like, it's kind of like I don't believe I can do it, and that's stopping me. And I'd love to break that, but I don't know how to do it.
okay, so this is the kind of thing I would suggest for that. Blood, sweat, and tears. I would say, I would start this way. I like the idea that writing prose can feel easy for me.
Okay.
How does it feel to say that? I just like the idea that in my future, writing prose, I like the feeling of that writing prose could be easy and fun for me.
Yeah.
So not even saying I write prose, it's easy and fun, because you're resistant to it. I wouldn't even say that. I would start with just a suggestion of, do you like the idea of that you could be great at it?
I probably would, but I have a really big
you probably would.
I think I would.
Do you like the idea of, what do you like the idea of?
I have a story, but I don't know how to. I'm afraid of exposing myself with it, and there's a bit of, but I know an awful lot about it.
Okay, I like the idea of not feeling fearful about exposing this idea.
Okay.
I like the idea of not feeling fearful about it. I like the idea of actually feeling like it's easy. You can keep you can keep going with that. You can
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
going bit by bit.
Well, there's a book called Feel Fear and Do It Anyway.
Yeah.
No, so
So it's the fact that right now, when you talk about it, you create resistance. There's energy of resistance. You can probably feel it in different
yeah,
places.
yeah. So
So
that's the way to break it.
I do that. I visualize it in any way that I can that's non-resistant. So if it's just saying, I like the idea that someday prose would be really easy and enjoyable for me. I like the idea that I bake once a week and it's so satisfying and I have a little of it and I give the rest out, that I get all the feelings that I got from eating dessert a lot wrapped up into one day. I like the idea of that. I like the idea that I'm not hooked to eating sweets. I like the idea that I can have it without getting totally connected to it. So you just keep talking with yourself about it. You ease it up instead of continually saying what you were saying before. So we talked also about appreciation. Our second week, we talked about appreciation being a powerful elixir, that you can use appreciation as a tool for momentum. So we're back on some of the topics that I threw out into the community this week. Do you ever get embedded in a negativity, like into a negative trend of thought where you're just going down, down, down? Okay. So I use appreciation. Yeah. I use it in a variety of ways. One is to go to bed at night. If I cannot shut the garbage down, if I'm obsessed with something that happened that I can't change, or I'm just all over the place because I know I want to set myself up for a good morning, I end with a number of appreciations, things I'm appreciative for. So I might, if I'm really embedded in a momentum I'm not happy with, I'll just stop and I'll say, I'm doing 100. And I count them on my fingers and my toes. So it can start with, yeah, it can start with, I love this. I love the bed I have. It's comfortable. I love how comfortable my bed is. I love having this beautiful pillow. I love how quiet my room is, whatever it is. And then you can work your way to bigger things and bigger things. But it just shuts down the momentum of whatever that was. So that's one way I use it regularly. But then I also use that during the day. So if I'm finding myself going down a rabbit hole of in a direction that's not taking me anywhere I want to go, what are some things you can do besides appreciation? What are some things that you do now to shift your momentum during the day? Anything?
I've started using the gratitude journal. It's called the 5-minute journal. And
Okay.
it's absolutely excellent. Noting 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things that you'll do today, and then kind of an affirmation, and then coming back in the evening what you're grateful for or what you could have done better. But it's actually
Okay.
really good.
Great.
I'll post in the chat.
Thank you. Anybody else? What do you do? Sometimes I drop down for a nap. Give me 10. I drop down.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
What's something that you do successfully to shift your momentum during the day if you're not on a good track?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I have all these. I set up my Alexa with all these reminders. You know, like 4 o'clock says, put down the phone and do some work. 6 o'clock, it says, clean something. Go clean something. It'll say, it's 6 o'clock. Go clean something. At 11 o'clock, check Castiel's food and water dish. So I make sure that her dish gets checked every night. And then 12:15 is writing your journal. 12:30, take your meds. So I have all these like reminders set in my thing that remind me all the time. And I don't want to take them out because it's like I have this like superstitious fear of removing them because I'm used to them now. But it doesn't mean that I always do those things. It doesn't mean that when 4 o'clock comes up and I'm like, goofing around on Facebook, and talking about whatever I'm talking about, Star Trek or whatever, that I'm going to lose my train of thought, that I lost my train of thought. That's part of my problem.
Okay, so you were talking about your alarms.
Yeah, right.
And
It doesn't
what
mean that if I'm in the middle of doing something that I think is fun for me in the moment, I'm gonna say blow off the alarm. I'll say computer stop, and I have to stop. I have to stop saying computer stop, and just do the thing that it's telling me to do.
yeah,
You know,
that's a great
but
idea.
I get like, I mean, that's the hardest one. That 4 o'clock one just kills me every day. I just put down the pen and do some work. It's like, am I going to, or am I going to watch the news? Am I going to draw? Am I going to do something else? Ugh. So,
So what is it that's hard about that? First of all, that's great. If you honor it, it's particularly great.
try to honor it. Yeah.
If you don't start ignoring it, but okay, so that's a great strategy to
I
set
don't honor my
alarms.
own promises. That's the problem, is that I do not honor my own promises.
So why at 4 o'clock is it so tough?
I don't know. I'm trying. That's why I'm here. I'm trying to get around that and see if I can figure out, rather than trying to like plow through the middle of it and beating my head against the wall. I feel like getting my head slammed against the wall. I have to figure out a way around it.
Yeah, what's your 4
Get me
o'clock
to where I
alarm?
want to be.
What is your 4 o'clock alarm again?
It's put down the phone and get and do some work.
Okay.
Like do some writing, do something.
What's the resistance you're feeling around it?
I just like, really? Do I have to? What do I want to do? Do I want to do this? No, not really. I'd rather just sit here and read this book.
Do you feel punished?
Punished? No.
So what is
I
it
just
that
feel
you
lazy. I feel lazy is what I feel. I feel like not sorry, I have a little aphasia. I can't think of the word. The word's not there. The word's not there.
If you knew, what do you think it would be?
It's not letting me. Brain is not letting me.
Okay. So, what is it? Is there a way that you could do 10 minutes of work?
Yeah.
Like, if you just start by creating a pattern. So the pattern is, no matter what, your phone goes down and you do some work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Do 10, don't do 5 hours. Do 10, 10, do a number that you could agree to today and commit to it. No matter what, I'm putting the damn phone down and I'm doing blank. How many minutes?
I can do 30 minutes. Oh, wait, I'll show you something. Hold on 1 second. Wait, I know. Really?
This is our Marvel comic writer right here.
I'm also a complete eccentric, so deal with that.
That's great.
I have this is the half-hour timer.
Oh, great. It's purple?
It's blue.
Okay.
Half-hour timer.
All right.
So I'm going to put that, instead of leaving it on the shelf, collecting dust, I'm going to put it next to me on my bedside table.
Okay.
So when 4 o'clock goes off, flip the timer, do something.
Is there something else you can do as well? So you've got that very cool 30-minute timer. Is there some other thing you can do to make an environment that all of a sudden, like a certain light goes on, a certain environment is created?
I think about that.
Do you work good with music, without music?
Generally without music, because I end up singing.
Yeah. I have to have sound, no words for
Yeah, I can do that. I mean, I can listen to, Rachmaninoff or Shostakovich or whatever.
Yeah, So what I'm thinking is, if you create an environment, the thing goes off, you turn the one thing, you put on the music or whatever it is, you sit in a certain chair, you got your thing ready, boom.
Oh, yeah.
And it's an inviting space for you.
And I've got a sage candle and a success candle.
Okay, so create an order. The timer goes on when you're ready. So you light the candle, you turn on the music, whatever that is. And then when you're ready, that you flip it over. And can you have okay, so does that sound a little more fun?
Yeah, it does. It sounds a little more
Yeah.
concrete than just,
Yeah.
it's 4 o'clock, do some work.
Yeah, and what's
That's more like
super,
creating. It's like creating ritual, which is something I'm very,
Yeah.
being Wiccan, I'm very familiar with creating ritual.
yeah,
So
it's
if
really
I create a ritual, paradigm shift
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
paradigm shift.
because
bang,
you're creating
first day.
you're creating a muscle memory.
Right, exactly. like
You're
martial art.
exercising your muscle that says, I'm listening to myself.
Yeah,
And why is that so important? Your integrity with yourself is one of the most important things. So every time I decide something about sugar and I break it, I'm loosening my own integrity with keeping my word to myself. And that's the ultimate thing that you're paying the price on. All of us in this call, if you break what you say you're going to do, that's the worst thing that can happen to you.
yeah.
Is your
Yeah.
integrity is shot with yourself.
And then you end up feeling like a total tool, and you end up, and that's when you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning going, why didn't I just do this 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I had the chance?
Yeah.
So one feeds right into the other.
Yeah.
The saying you're going to do it, then not doing it, then worrying about not having done it, and then go back to the beginning and start over again.
Okay, I'm going to say this. I say this almost every time. It's powerful. 99% is hard. 100% is easy.
Yeah.
So every time you second guess yourself and you don't keep your word, you throw that question mark in, and then you spend a lot of time thinking, a lot of wasted energy. If you just do the thing, it's done.
Yeah.
And you're not questioning it. I talk about my dad regularly, exercising 6 days a week, 6 days a week. Sunday off, exercise every morning, 6 days a week.
Your dad's amazing.
He doesn't question it. So I like to think, I like to be flexible. I like to do what I like to do. I don't want to punish myself. I'm free spirit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I make it hard for myself, being like a butterfly flying around. When I was exercising on a team, the team exercised at a certain time, like clockwork. So easy.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody who considers yourself a whimsical creative on some level, which is almost everybody here in this little group, you can talk to yourself about the advantages of having structure, that it's beneficial for you. Like oftentimes, if I don't keep a structure, it's the things I really love that I get to miss out on, like getting in my studio to do my artwork. I'm busy doing all these other things that are societally justifying my existence. And I'm not getting in there and really releasing the gift. So what is it you have to release? It's probably what you envisioned earlier. That's the gift that you're here to create. And I'm just guessing, you're probably spending a lot of time justifying your existence by doing all sorts of other time-taking activities. And the thing that's getting the boot is often the thing you're the most gifted at. So if we could talk ourselves into something, it would be that the structure, I'm going to get in my studio at this time every day, no matter what. I'm at least going to get in there, even if I don't get my hands in the pastel or whatever. I'm going to be in the studio at that time for that amount of time. And I'm going to schedule it in.
Creating deadlines works too.
Yeah.
I found, because when you work professionally, as a writer or an editor, you have a specific deadline. They say, well, we need pages have to be to the artist by Friday, period. That's it, or you lose your job. So that sometimes helps.
Yeah.
You know?
Deadlines are fabulous.
But not somebody yelling at you and saying, you have to get this done by, you're going to ruin everything, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's just like, you have to get this done by Friday. that's your deadline,
Yeah.
period. Or
Christy,
you don't
could
get
you,
paid.
Christy, can you schedule in your me time? It's non-negotiable.
Well, it's so funny because the more you talk, like I used to be the person who would fly by the seat of my pants and do whatever. And now, like as an adult, I realized this summer that I love structure. Like I love routine. I think it's, I don't know if it's just the teacher in me or what, but not having that this summer and doing my work from home job, like I realized it has its perks, but at the same time, like I'm so used to this structure that it's something that I learned that I really like. So as of, next week when I'm officially done with school, I was looking on Pinterest of how to like make a daily schedule of like how to do the whole work from home and yet give myself time. And because I was like, I need to schedule in my workouts. I've been doing them at night now, and it's almost, I've been doing them, but it's kind of draining. Like I'd rather do it and get it done with in the morning and then focus on doing my work and really plugging into that, and yet still scheduling, obviously, like our Wednesday morning pods and all that. Like I need to come up with a schedule for myself, and definitely the whole me time scheduling needs to be implemented.
Yeah. So can you, that would be great for you this week.
Yeah, that's something that I started actually yesterday during the school. I like had free time and I was like, let me get on Pinterest and figure out how to create a nice schedule for myself.
Yeah. And for a lot of you who like to do some 2 or 3 dimensional creative project, do some beautiful schedule for yourself. Like Susan's going to make a nice environment for herself to be writing at that time. Yeah. Make something attractive for yourself. Don't punish yourself. Okay, so then, we talked also about, what are some other things you do to shift your momentum? So I talked about, I take a nap sometimes. Sometimes I just have to drop down for a nap. So then and as I'm going to do that, I do some appreciation before I go into the nap. So then I wake up, I'm not plugging right back into what I took a nap to get rid of. Okay, so then we talked about using appreciation just during the day. You can just stop in your tracks when you're agitated or you're starting to see things string together that you're not interested in carrying forward. And just stop for a second, look around you and note 10 or 15 or 20 things you're appreciative of. So today, it's beautiful out, it's sunny, it's still the end of summer. We have a couple days left. There's beautiful flowers that are late season flowers that are blooming. They're like tiny little purple asters. I didn't cut my grass for the last couple of years in the backyard. And now I have all this goldenrod and these purple asters. So anyways, there's all like, bless you. I said goldenrod.
No, it's a response to the golden, goldenrod.
That's how it is. So, you can stop your momentum that easily. And if you do, like Susan's going to start working in her studio at 4, turn the time over, do these things. If you get used to noting when you're not in a good momentum and you stop and you do like appreciation moment, that will start to become normal for you. You'll start to become a person who doesn't stay long in a place where you're self-loathing, you're critical, you're finding everything wrong in the moment, because you shift yourself regularly. And by the same token, when you're standing around and instead of being ticked off that you're waiting in a line or it's heavy traffic, if you go into your visualization of feeling your future, this is great time management. You're being productive instead of annoyed. Yeah, so appreciation is even just appreciating your ability to appreciate, which sounds funny. But that's
one of the things that I haven't got is I can't see you. The bit is about visualization. It's like I don't know enough about it. It's like I don't know what I want, or that. Yeah,
okay.
just yeah.
So So if I knew what I wanted, what would it be? If you knew what you wanted, Mary, what would one thing be? If you knew.
I want to be a successful writer.
Okay,
Maybe
a
I understand.
successful writer.
what is that more? I would say dig deeper into that.
What is that? Yeah, what
that's
is that?
big.
What does it mean? What does it look like?
Well, I
is
suppose that,
success?
that there's sales in the shops and that people want my work and that I can keep doing it. You know, that I won't be a one-hit wonder. Do you know what I mean? That I can
Okay.
keep doing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so,
go deeper. You can. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's okay.
And she can go deeper than that, though. I think.
Yeah, so a great place to start is the first thing you said. I want to be a successful writer.
Mm.
Then you can you can ask yourself, what does that look like? And you can see books on the shelves. You can see people buying the books. You can see people reading the books. You can see yourself doing a series. Maybe you're doing workbooks with those books. Maybe you're doing, maybe you're coaching people about the books. Maybe you have clients that you coach in writing. Who knows? But you let your mind start wandering, like
Okay.
you let your being start just. And if you can't figure it out, because you often ask the same questions here, and it's fine. I'm just noting it.
Mm.
You ask, how can you know what you want? How can
Yeah.
you know? So you can ask yourself this question: if I did know, because you do.
Mm.
If I did know, what would it be? That there's something about that simple question that opens
Yeah.
it up in your mind. Because I ask it repeatedly to you guys, if you notice that. When you say,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'll say, if you did, what would it be? It's a weird, funny little question, but it actually opens. It's so obvious. It's like, it seems so obvious, but it almost seems like a trick. Okay, so if you don't know, you say, if I did know, what would I be saying right now? If I did know what I wanted. So yeah, I would you do know how to visualize. You
Yeah.
just get to relax yourself and you just get to play.
Okay.
You get to play there. But the most important thing, how you really bring it home, is by feeling it, not
Okay.
just seeing it. How would it feel to have somebody reading your book at home? You can see them reading your book at home and they're absolutely delighted by your book. And they meet you and they're patting you on the back saying, Mary McCarthy, I am that book changed my life. Your book changed my life.
Wow.
Mary, you're reading your own Amazon reviews.
Yeah.
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 That's what I do.
The bit that I it's like as if I don't believe that it's possible. That's the bit that catches me.
That's the visualization part. That's visualization. That's the visualization part. If you can visualize yourself, I would say to you, if I was doing a visualization with you, I would say, picture yourself. You're at a book signing, and what does it look like? Where is it? What is it? What does it sound like? All the details around of the room around you, and you're going to be reading from your book to these people, and see the people in the audience, and hear yourself speaking to them, and feel how you feel in that moment. And use that moment, and I mean, you can go so tiny. You can go macroscopic and say, I want to be a successful writer, or you can go microscopic and you can say, I want to be on a podium in a specific bookstore talking about my book to people who are buying my book, right?
Yeah. And
then that's a visualization. That's a picture you're creating in my movie. You're creating in your mind of what you want to have happen. Not just say, obviously, I want to be a successful writer is a good thing to say. That's obviously that's positive.
But where's the link between visualization and believing it'll happen?
You have to bridge that gap.
You have to keep visualizing it until it happens.
Okay.
So what I want to mention about what Susan just said, is that I highly suggest you go as far as you can where you're really in alignment with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you start getting, that's where you want to be as detailed as possible with the things that you feel aligned with. If you start
Okay.
going over the board, like you're not ready for it, and you keep saying, and you get too specific, your being starts to repel it. So you just want to like stroll through the garden where it feels good. And
Yeah.
as you do that, as you believe it more and more, and you feel it more and more, you'll be able to go into more detail. Now,
Okay.
Paul, you went into your studio. You went into the space. Can you tell us about what you did there? Because you thought about it in your mind, and you also went there. And that's what I do with my retreat center. I go into the space.
Well, I went in, I got the combination from the building owners, and I went in by myself instead of them showing me around. So had the space to myself, and I walked around and looked at things from different perspectives, measured off some areas to get a sense for how I would, and I've been visualizing how I would lay out tables or display elements for different kinds of events, workshops, classes, displays.
Yeah, and how did that feel? How did it feel?
Well, it was exciting. It was really intriguing to be in that space alone and picture how I would use it. And they have it kind of sparsely furnished, but pretty nicely. And it really is, it really would be I think it would become a very vibrant space.
So it's easy. It allows you to really go further with your visualization.
Mhm.
When I first bought my property, the classroom is on right now. It was dilapidated. There was a property next to me. It was full of trailers and broken down things and piles of junk. Then on the other side of me, there was right down at the cliff where I'd like to go for it to be peaceful. There was a generator buzzing. There was a pier down below with a big paddle boat for a dinner cruise. There were jet boat tours leaving from the dock there. On the other side of me, where all the junk was, there was like a gas tank. They would refuel at the beach down there. And I just laid up on the cliff one day. I imagined the generator noise gone, the generator gone. I imagined the docks gone. I imagined all the junk gone. I imagined all these things. And I did it every so often. Right now, almost all of that is gone. Almost everything that I imagined has taken place without me even doing anything, but visualizing it. The dock is a really small dock right now. None of the boat tours are there anymore. The woman next door passed away. The state bought her property. They cleaned everything off of it. All the trailers, all the garbage.
No, did they really?
The septic system. I came up one day a year ago and everything was gone. And there was a meadow with flowers this summer and some deer in there. So I go back there now. I'm going back there in my mind to visualize the people that they're having a hard time getting to leave the next property. They're having to take them to court to try and get them out of there. I'm visualizing those people finding a beautiful place to live, them being happy, them knowing there's a better place than there for them. I'm imagining all those lodgings painted the way I want them, people having a fire in the middle at night, people there for a retreat, people happy that I created that. So you get to do that in your own life. You get to imagine it visually, or you get to go to a place like Susan suggested, your favorite bookstore, and imagine you book signing there, sit at a table there, whatever you can agree to without second guessing yourself, whatever you can imagine and enjoy, do it. That's how you do it.
And can you imagine a specific relationship working out, or is that something?
You can do that, but if you have resistance to it, then I would highly suggest the feeling. I would highly suggest you feeling the feeling of being in love, being happy, having the companionship you wish for, and the right person that's aligned with that energy will appear.
Mm, mm.
We
Okay.
can't make someone else. We can't make someone else do something, but you can imagine beautiful energy. You can, and it could be that person.
Mm,
But the first thing I'd imagine is you feeling the feeling of being in being loved, being in love, being connected, feeling companionship, everything that you want.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to move on. Thank you for that. We're going to move on to how many of you really go into beat up when you break something that you've wanted to do, like your commitment to exercise, or a commitment that you're not going to do something anymore, you're going to do something else. How many of you, if you get derailed, you really get into beat up? You can put a thumbs up in the chat, or you can put your thumb up, or you can post it. How many of you take a long time? So how long does it take you to get out of that? Can you be in it the rest of the day? Is it just a little while and you shift? How long are you spending in that beat up? You can post it in the chat. So what I want to talk about here for a little bit is rebooting, clearing, starting fresh. And we already started talking about it a bit with taking a nap or using appreciation. Yeah. I used to take days sometimes, or when you talk to someone who says that they're depressed or they're down, they're often absolutely locked in all the things that they feel like they've been doing wrong. Christy, maybe you could let us know if that is accurate for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just writing, I was just reading Paul's and he said you could waste a whole day. And I was like, yep, that's like me. It will I get in a funk and it will be like 2 days, a week, and I try to be like, this is miserable. And in my head, it's a battle because I'm like, I don't want to waste my time feeling so whatever. And I wish I could just turn on a switch and be like, all right, and I it's a struggle, and
Yeah.
it's quicksand.
Yeah. So has it been supporting you that you've been gathering evidence of things that you're doing good for yourself?
Yes. And in the moment, I'm like, this is so good. And then I'm like, but then I minutes later, I'm back to being like, but in the moment right now, things suck. Yeah.
Okay. So what I want to let you know is that everybody experiences this, where you just didn't do what you said you were going to do, or you didn't accomplish what you thought. And then you look and you think you're not making any movement. And then pretty soon you're going down a path of momentum where you're critical of yourself. You're feeling like you're nowhere. Okay. So sometimes what I want to say is, Abraham Hicks talks about this. If you're falling out of a plane, it'll be over soon. You can't stop the momentum of the fall sometimes. Give yourself 10 minutes. Give yourself 15 minutes. Feel it, whatever it is. And then pick a way to reboot. Or if it's big, okay, I told you my daughter doesn't speak to me, right? She's 30, she'll be 35. I love her. I don't know, she never spoke with me about why she needed to stop talking with me. But sometimes, like on her birthday, it's a challenging day for me. So I decide ahead of time, I'm going to do these things for myself today. I'm going to enjoy these things about having been her mother today. I'm going to set up an opportunity to go do something fun with some other people, so I'm not spending the day in it. But if I end up going there, I allow myself that day to be feeling it. I just allow it. So I don't beat myself up for feeling beat up. I don't do a second layer of beat up on top of the beat up. So And I'm farther than I was before. I'm not starting at zero. I'm not all the way back to the first day when she told me she didn't need to speak to me anymore. I've had a lot of opportunities to think about it. I have a beautiful life. I had all the opportunities I got to have with her as a child. I got to be her mother. I'm still her mother. On top of that, she's a powerful being who's learning and growing. Maybe at this portion of her life, she needs to be away from me to do that. So I can be really rational sometimes, but other times I miss her. I just miss her. I had a daughter because I wanted a daughter. I wanted a daughter since I was in first grade. I wanted a family. I wanted children. And I have a son. But it's not the same. So once in a while, I just give myself the latitude to feel all the feelings. Not have to choke them down or choke them back. To be human. So whatever it is that you experience, where you feel like you've let yourself down or things didn't go the way you wished. I just want to tell you that I'm doing the work all the time. And I still have moments like that where I can give myself grace. I can take out the blanket if I want the blanket. Or I might decide I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that annually. I'm not making that a holiday for sorrow. I'm going to celebrate that I'm a mother and I'm going to go out to eat with my friends. So what I'm illustrating there is I'm not at ground zero each time that happens. I'm more evolved than the last time. And I give myself the right to feel. You give yourself the right to feel the feelings. If you feel let down about something in your life, a way your life didn't go the way you planned, maybe someone you absolutely love, maybe a couple times a year you realize they're not in the physical anymore and you miss them. A lot of us have parents who are older, and some of them are still around and some of them have just exited. And so you're still a great and good person, and you're still okay if once in a while you cry it out. It's all right. So what do you guys do for yourself when you're in that position? I want to have you able to not beat yourself up, and also give yourself some self-care. You know, some people go and make every year, the day that their mom died, they have the worst day of their year. And I want you to be able to feel whatever those things are, but also be kind to yourself and have it easier, a little easier than the last time. So rebooting, clearing, starting fresh. You're never starting from scratch. You're always starting with a little more experience, knowledge, empathy, care, more strategy, hopefully, than the last time. So what I like to do with my clients is set up ways for them to succeed. So if you have a behavior that you don't want to repeat and you find yourself repeating it. So right now, we've talked about her turning on the timer, lighting a candle, putting on some music, creating a nice environment for herself. But what if she doesn't do it that day? Then what? Does it take a week to get back on track because you're going to a super beat up? Does it? And this isn't directed right at you, Susan. It's using me as an example. If I stray off on my Sunday only for a treat, am I going to go a month before I'm back into Sunday only? Or can I say, okay, I'm going to recommit. I'm going to recommit today. Okay, but you recommitted 20 times already in the last 5 years. So Yeah, I don't care. I don't care how
Is
many.
anybody keeping track? I mean, like, are people counting how many times you don't do it? No,
Right,
no one's counting because no one cares except you. So
right. It's you. It's for you.
yeah.
So that's where I suggest digging a little deeper with some coaching if that supports you. If you keep repeating it and you hate that you're repeating it, what's in there? What's in there to unpackage? And I've talked to you kind of a number of times, and you've seen me do this with people. You can really look at what it is that you're not able to keep your promise to yourself. What's really going on there? Sometimes for me, I'll feel like I was disciplined so much. We had a big family, and it to have a small house and a big family, you gotta have things running. You gotta have things running pretty smoothly. So my personality type, a real free spirit, didn't like to be told so often what to be doing and how to be doing it, on the schedule. So this is me. I have a little belligerence to taking orders from myself or anybody. I didn't like taking them from my dad, but they gave me a lot of guidance. So I get to, when I look in, sometimes I'm rebelling against my own rule because I can. It's like I can rebel. So what point am I proving if I chose to do something and then I'm breaking my own word to myself? It's kind of defeating the purpose. So there's some deep things in there that you can discover in these moments when you have breached your word to yourself, or you feel like you really are caving in and you're having a setback. What is the setback about? Take some notes on it. What do you feel like you let go on for yourself? Do some discovery there. You can also do this. You can just say this to yourself. New moment. I'm done. I went off track a little. I don't need to go into it and analyze it today. I blew it today, or I didn't honor it today, right now. And what was more important to me than keeping my word to myself today? What was more important? I felt, and you're not trying to make excuses, you're trying to identify what was more important to you. Okay, what was more important to me was eating that dessert. I felt lonely, and I used the dessert as a way to feel connected. What am I committed to? I'm committed to only having a dessert on Sunday. That's a great treat on Sunday. And having the discipline during the week because it makes me feel good. I'm committed to that. And so, you know what? I'm moving on. That's it. That's how simple it is today for me. So it can be that quick. But if you feel like, and you don't have to feel like, okay, I did this 2 weeks ago. You are a being who's on a journey of expansion, learning, growing, experiencing. You can do it any way you want. If it's bothering you that you're repeating it regularly and it feels like your word doesn't mean anything to you, you can do like I just did with Susan, where you pick some new variables to lock it in more, to make it more exciting for you, to make keeping your word to yourself on that. Maybe you buy an outfit that you're going to be fitting because you're not having sugar every day of the week. You're going to be losing some weight. I have a cool, it's like a skirt. I could wear it with a suit. It doesn't quite fit today. I like it. I'm not taking it back. It's something that I'm going to wear in a few weeks or a month when I've kept my word all these weeks, and it feels great to wear it. Whatever that is, you can set that up for yourself so that it feels more fun to keep your word than it feels like you're going to get in trouble if you don't. Depends on your motivation. Are you motivated to not fail, or are you motivated to be celebrated when you keep your word? Which is bigger for you? is is not doing it wrong bigger for you, or celebrating when you do it right? What's more motivating?
Celebrating.
Okay,
I'd
anybody?
I'd never looked at it like that before, but actually it makes so much more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to treat myself. So if I do it right, I like to feel like, yippee, I did it. I did it for myself. And if need be, I'll have a treat there for myself. Yeah. Paul's go-to treat is ice cream and baseball. I know that. I know that now. My go-to treat, oh, I've got a lot of go-to treats. It might be going up to SpiritRiver for 3 days. Myself. Shopping, yeah. It might be picking out the treat I'm going to have on Sunday that I'm going to bake. So tomorrow I'm baking my dad's 98th birthday cake. It's going to be a wowzer. That'll be fun. And it could be that, because I like to do that for people and they like the cakes, it could be that every Sunday I make a ridiculous cake and I go celebrate it with somebody and I bring it to their house because I appreciate them with a cake. Who knows? You can make it fun for yourself. But my coaching on this is, I don't know anybody who doesn't spend too much time being critical of themselves. So when you go off of what you want, keep it as short and sweet as possible. And if it's happening frequently, then let's get some coaching on it. Come up with a new strategy. Roll up our sleeves and come up with a new strategy that seems fun. Who wants to be punished? And then, be kind to yourself. What would you love? What do you love to do in life? Just be really kind to yourself. I say this over and over. How would you treat yourself if you were your best friend? If you just met yourself on the street and you became friends, how fortunate would you feel? I mean, I would feel really fortunate to have myself as a friend, even with all my quirks, because I like a lot of those things. Yeah. Paul, if you met you in your community and you got to collaborate with you, how would that feel?
Had never thought about it like that before. Well, I feel like I'm a good collaborator. I've always been. The way we approached practice of architecture, it was very much a team effort. And
You just met you today. How do you feel about it?
First impressions.
Yeah, I mean, imagine seeing yourself
weird.
from the outside,
Mhm.
seeing you coming up and getting to meet you, and you're finding out about you. How exciting would that be?
Yeah, it would be intriguing. It would be I would see a lot of possibilities. That's an odd thing to think about.
I like doing that because it makes me appreciate the depth of who I am, that I don't always. I can be really critical of myself. But if you met you, you know how kind you are, you know how smart you are, you know how quirky, you know how funny, you know how clever, you know all the nuances. So if you got to meet you as a friend, you would keep learning all these things about you. You'd get this ever showing itself gift, ever revealing more gift. So the reason I say that is you are your best, you are the closest to you.
Mm.
You essentially spend more time with yourself than anybody else, obviously. And so, how would you treat you if you were your best friend? How would you treat you if you were in front of you and you got the opportunity to be the best friend with you? How would you treat that best friend? I want you to consider that, because that's how I want you to treat yourself. That's what I want you to think about when you're in beat up, when you're really spending time pointing out to yourself how you're not up to par, how you haven't cut the mustard, how you're not that great, because you're used to being with yourself. You take all that stuff for granted right now, or a lot of it. I'm not saying maybe you don't take it all for granted, but I would say most of us take most of ourselves for granted. If you met yourself on the street, you'd be like, wow, that is a super cool person.
What's the trick for positivity? What's the trick for getting positive about yourself?
I just gave you a trick. If you walked up and met yourself, Mary, in a coffee shop,
Yeah.
how excited would you be to have met a new friend like you?
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. So
It was actually quite incredible, because I was talking to somebody there 2 weeks ago, and they were quite impressed by because I take it for granted that I got an A1 in my MA, and that I got through all of the challenges that I got through, and was determined and doggedness, and actually got to the end of the journey. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds really good. But I was just taking it in my stride, you know?
see, that's a great example. I like looking at your thumb, but can I see your whole face?
Sorry. Sorry.
I do like your thumb, but anyway,
Yeah, so that was
that's
really impressive. That was
that's a
impressive.
perfect example. You required a stranger to reflect back to you what they saw in you,
Mm,
instead of being able to know it. So I'm
yeah.
asking you to look at yourselves in this way, to see your greatness, so that you don't spend it. You wouldn't beat your friend up for a half a day if they did something that they had wanted to change, and they didn't keep their word on it that day, and they recommitted. You would not beat them up for 8 to 10 hours, or they wouldn't be your friend anymore.
Right.
They'd be like, I'm done with this person. They are
Sorry for
beating.
interrupting you again, but it was very interesting. The person said to me, my professor, oh, he said he took a shine to you. I love the expression. You know, there was something in it that was like, oh my God, yeah.
So he took a shine to you?
As in a good way, you know, yeah. But
That's
you
so
could, yeah,
cute.
yeah.
Yeah. So you would hopefully you'd take a shine to you if you met you.
I
Okay.
think he might have. Or will I have anyway?
Yeah. You took a shine to him?
Yeah. Well, I
Okay.
know whether that's going to work out or not. We'll see.
The plot thickened. Okay. Great. Okay. I want to mention too, this week when I was in Maine, I had a time bending experience. So it's been a long time since I haven't been tending to my phone and things daily, regularly. And I packed everything in a bag. We flew out there. By the time we had 1 24-hour period in Maine. We had already done many things, and it felt like I had been on vacation for probably 4 days, and it was a day. By day 2, I felt like it had been a week. And I wasn't looking at the clock. I had 2 days where I had nothing on my calendar, and I did mess up some of my calendar, so sorry to some of you. but it's mesmerizing to me how time can be so different, and it's the same amount of time. So I want to challenge you to, be curious, be industrious, be resourceful, and also take that critical time, that time where you have no schedule, to do something that you want to do, and just see how the time flows differently for you. Because we create so much stress for ourselves in our society right now. And then I did this thing last week with the community of business people that I'm in. We've been documenting all of our minutes in the day. So when I was on vacation, it was like relaxation, big chunks of my calendar. Riding in a boat, 2.5 hours. Sitting on a pier, 1 hour. I don't drink coffee, but they were having coffee, 2 hours. You know, talking till midnight, from 7 until midnight, preparing food, eating, and talking, 5 hours. When I'm home, I might have like 4 hours on my phone, thinking around on my phone. I might have, I still did my content. I still got up early and I did my content, you know, so I still was accountable for the things for the community, but I didn't, you know, think about it for 6 hours before I did it. So I highly recommend, you know, I'm around professional business people right now they might only work 4 hours a day, and they're super productive. And there's a book Trevor Blake wrote on the 5-hour workday. I'd highly recommend it. Trevor Blake, Blake. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah.
5-hour workday. Okay. So you go ahead and you document your time. So you can set a timer up like Susan does. You could set it on the hour. It could say like, you know, write what you're doing, or, you know, document your time. So what I found out is I work a lot less than I think I do. I spent a lot of time stressing that I'm not working while I'm not working. Such a waste. So that 1 week of documenting my time is really, it's giving me some big understandings of how I spend the time, how I waste the time, how I compact the time. And then that last week of being out in nature, I still did all of my calls. I did all of my, you know, all of the things that I needed to do. And I had this timelessness about it. Especially you, Paul, you're going into a super engaged schedule right now with your painting. You're working on a new program to offer for additional income, teaching, and finding space, studio space, and you're doing a lot of other transitioning. So I think it'd be really valuable for you to document what you're doing with your time. And then I'm really working on being committed to not working when I'm not working. Okay? Not working when I'm not working. You give yourself blocks of time so that when you come back to work, you're happy to do so. So when I was teaching, I taught for 17 years. We'd have our summer off, and I had my father, he would work until the last day of work, and the next day we'd go camping. His first day of vacation, we'd go camping. And even if we came back during the middle of the summer, we would go camping up until the day before he reported again for work. Because he was not going to dink around thinking about work all summer while he wasn't working. It was a great mentor for that. And a number of my siblings do the same thing. As soon as the first day of vacation comes, they already set their vacation, they're gone. So they're not thinking about, oh, geez, that was stressful. That last week was so stressful. Oh, so stressful. So I'd love for you, I've set an assignment here for you to take account of a week. And these people that I'm with in this other group, some of them have done it for 5 years. They're accountable for their time.
Is there a specific strategy to do that, or just like find a way through it? or?
So what I did is I set a timer for on the hour, every hour. A little timer would go off and it would just say time. And I have a tiny planner. I usually don't love a planner, but I have a little calendar and I just put in there. It's got the hours on it. It was something that I never wanted to drill down into, but it's perfect for that. I put the date at the top and then I'll just put wake 5 a.m., meditate 20 minutes, 5:20. Then after I meditate, I often do a visionary thing where I drive down the driveway of the Spirit River expansion area. It's blacktopped. It's not. It's right now it's gravel. It's kind of dirty. So I drive in. It's perfect. There's a beautiful sign. There's the cottages are beautifully painted. People are kind of getting up. They're taking a walk. I'm there. So I do a visualization at the end of that 20 minutes of just quiet time. And then so I just note that. Then how much time am I taking for preparing food, eating, exercise, this amount of time. But I found that I've dinked around on my phone. I like the word dinking, I'm dinking around on my phone too much. So it's really shifted me. And then I have a friend who's a science teacher, was a science teacher, and he went back. He's in his 60s and he's decided to go back and teach AP bio because he's like a really brilliant thinker and he retired early and he just does not have enough to do with his brain. He's really smart and he loves engaging with kids. So he got permission to do the class any way he wants to do it. And in Wisconsin, they're desperate for teachers right now. So he's got all of his credentials. He was a science teacher of the year 2 times in the state. It's really good. He's like, I don't want to have to be in the classroom. He gave them the structure he wanted. They said, okay. So there's a big state park around. He's taking them into the park to do studies. He's doing all different things. So anyway, he did a test with them on the first day. It's with sugar and a cell phone. And I love that because both of those things I have too much of. Okay, so you take it like a half a teaspoon of sugar, you put it in your mouth, and you have a friend help you because they put a hand here and then they put a hand on the end of your arm. Okay, it's muscle testing, kinesthetics, okay, kinesiology. So you resist them with your arm, and then you take a half a teaspoon of sugar, wait like 30 seconds, and do the test again. Your arm goes right down. The sugar takes some of your energy. So then he had me do it with a cell phone because I'm holding the phone. I was holding the phone a lot. Put a cell phone in your hand, do the same thing. Before you put the cell phone in, they can't push your arm down easy. When you're holding the cell phone, they can push your arm right down. So that was interesting to me. He was trying to let them know that when they're hanging onto their phone all the time, it's taking its toll on their energy and their connectivity. And he did it with me. And since then, I don't have it in my hand all the time. I'm just making sure I get some space from it. So your assignment, log your time. Log your time Monday through Sunday, and just do an audit of your time. Great. Keep it with you. Oh, you could also put in this journal ideas you get. After you've taken some time to quiet yourself or meditate in the morning, and then at the end of a meditation, often some great ideas pop up. So that's another Trevor Blake exercise. After you've meditated, write down the great ideas that you just got in your book, in a book somewhere.
Oh, I do sitting zazen meditation. I've been doing it for 10 years. So I'm not supposed to have thoughts in my mind when I'm meditating. So I'll figure something out.
Well, here's the thing. When I first started meditating, there's so much going on. I'm constantly all over the place and I keep catching myself. So then the strategy I use is once I catch myself, I say, oh yeah, of course, you have an active mind. Just but now this is your time to let your mind have a rest. And I bring myself back. So I keep doing that. I keep having that conversation. And then pretty soon I find that sometimes I have a timelessness. And they say, even if you get a minute and a half of that timelessness out of a 20-minute meditation, that's great. Just a minute and a half. When I heard that, I felt like, if I get a minute and a half, that's great. It relaxed me so that I could actually get a minute and a half. And then what I've discovered, and this woman who I really like her work, she mentioned how she was so busy scattering ideas, getting them out of her head. By the end of the meditation, actually, those became really good ideas. And so you, at some point, you start listening. You clear the clutter from your mind. Once you get that cleared, near the end of the meditation, you'll find really good ideas are coming in. So pay attention to those. Don't dust those, don't sweep those out with the other things. So there's some acclimating to what you're experiencing in the meditation. At first, you're clearing, quieting, clearing, quieting, relaxing. I find super helpful. I tell myself, no, this is my time to shut my brain down. I'm getting 10 minutes. I'm just giving myself 20 minutes. I'm worth 20 minutes. And then I just go back to that quieter. I tend to tense up in my forehead between my eyes when my brain's going. When the brain is going and I feel that tension, I think, no, this is my 20 minutes. And then I feel that relax right there.
Is that how you determine the next step of what you want to do as well, or your next step?
Sometimes I get my next steps at the end there. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I
And
get
what
them
about
while I'm on a run. Sometimes I get them
Okay.
while I'm on a walk. Sometimes I get them while I'm actually cleaning the house, which I don't love, but I found that cleaning the house, I get a lot of good ideas while I'm cleaning the house.
Mm,
So I don't fight it as much as I used to. It's mindless. It's mindless activity. So often great ideas pop up when I'm doing mindless things.
and is that how you get in touch with the wisdom within yourself? Is that kind of the way
All
of
those
doing it?
things. All
Yeah,
those
okay.
things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How are you on, where do you stand on doing things mindfully, like washing dishes mindfully or walking mindfully, and just experiencing, not trying to not have ideas while you're say you're doing a sink full of dishes, right?
Yeah.
And instead of thinking about, like, opening your mind up, close it down. So
Yeah.
that's all you're doing. You're focusing
Yeah.
on that one thing, on
Yeah.
that task. And
I
then
find-
after that, you'll have a little epiphany, maybe.
Yeah. I
You
feel
know?
like those are like almost the same thing. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
they're kind of
when I'm walking or running, I'm letting my mind go. Eventually I start to get so relaxed and tired, my brain just goes, and I'm just noticing the grass, the flowers, the sun, this
Right, yeah.
idea pops in. I
Yeah,
have a
that's
hard time.
mindfulness. That's walking mindfully.
Yeah, I have a hard time knowing when I go from mindful to mindless. I mean, I think it,
Well,
you know what I mean? I think what we're saying the same thing. I think of it in a similar way. I think of that, like if I go outside right now, I go right into the flower that's there, the grass that's there, this. And so that's what you're talking about, mindful, right?
yes,
You're
yes,
mindful.
exactly.
You're really present to the moment.
Mhm.
Some people do it by breathing. They concentrate on their
Mhm.
breathing, or they concentrate on a buzz the refrigerator's making, something mindfulness. When I'm talking about when I'm running, I am really, I am so mindful of the grass, the corn, the road, all that stuff, that my mind goes into a place all of a sudden of mindlessness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just becomes a free, like a free forming, it's not connected to anything. It just starts, it just releases itself.
Right.
So however you want to think about those things, I'm glad you described it that way, Susan. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the Jedi would say when you have that whoosh, pull it back in, folks, breathe, start over again, focus back in on your mindful. I mean, we're just really big on mindfulness. It's one of our
Yeah.
core precepts.
So really being in the moment, really being present, like
Mhm.
my arms are like, I'm sitting at my pastry table in my kitchen right now. I've got a piece of my artwork behind me. The pastry table is cold, the marble is cold. I would be concentrating on all the things that are right in front of me, right around me. And in doing that, all of a sudden you're not thinking about your schedule, you're not thinking about the day, you're not thinking about another time and place. That's the doorway that opens for some inspiring thought to come in all of a sudden. Or, I mean, at the end of that exercise. So however you want to get there. And that's why Paul's been really successfully engaging in active meditation. He's finding that when he's still, he can't shut his brain off. But when he's moving, yeah, it's good for him.
Great, that's great.
Okay, so let me think if there's anything else I've missed here. You know, we're constantly talking about saying yes to yourself. So I just want to go over how I've restructured some things in the community. We just have a couple minutes left. So in the spirit of saying yes to yourself, I know over time that one yes leads to another yes, and you're creating a momentum. Just like, you know, the cell phone test and the sugar test. When I cave on something that I wanted to do for myself and I don't follow my structure, I start creating a momentum there. You know, I start creating a yes to that direction instead of a yes to me direction. So I just want to know, you're always creating momentum. You're always, with every choice you make, you're always taking yourself somewhere. So in our coaching community, I have, let's say, around 1,000 people who connect in with the content. And then of those, I have a small percentage that come all the way in and they start doing something beyond just getting the email. So if I have 1,000 people and I get, like, let's say 35 to join a MasterClass and then 9 to actually show up at the MasterClass, you're seeing the trickle down of a real solid yes all the way through, or just I'll get somebody's content, or I'll buy that book, but I'll just leave it on my coffee table. You know, we're constantly barraged with possibility, choices, static from noise, static from too much. What do you choose? And so in my community, in the last couple of weeks, I've had a lot of people exit out because I barraged you guys with, for 1 week, 3 emails a day, trying to get you to take some action in your life. And a few more people stepped in, a few people took additional action. So the theory is that I was giving Monday through Friday content on a topic. And if you were plugged in like Mary, she was reading every email, she was doing the homework, she was transforming herself, and then she was coming to master classes. Now, some people have never taken coaching before. They've never spent money on coaching before. So it's a new thing to do. Like, it's outside the box. So for some people, they're so sick and tired that they are willing to take a risk and go into a one-on-one program right away and spend $1,000 or $1,500 a month, or in some coaches might charge $8,000 a month for one-on-one coaching. Okay, so some people will go there and they want the privacy of the one-on-one coaching. Some people will take the pod coaching, like a number of you have taken the pod coaching, and when you started it was $497. It's going to $697. But I mean, you're in it right now for the year. It's $497. You said yes, and it was hard for some of you to say yes to it. And you make allowances every week, every month, and you prioritize it. And it's already changed your life because you said yes, and lots of doors have been opening to you. That's where my coaching ended then. It was either the free Monday through Friday with a free masterclass. If you wanted to upgrade and get a replay on the masterclass, you could for $17. And then if you wanted to, if you felt like you wanted coaching, you could call, we could talk, and we could decide which coaching program would be good for you. And if you wanted coaching, it would be automatically $497 was the lowest. So I added this last week, $27 a month for the Monday through Friday coaching. And the people who don't subscribe aren't getting the Tuesday through Friday anymore. They're not getting the coaching on the go. They're not getting the longer emails like you got this week, Mary. And then if people want, so some people have been able to say yes to 27 a month. And it's a big deal because it's a yes. You know what I'm saying? It's a yes for something. And I just decided a few weeks ago that I wanted to give people some sort of buy-in opportunity where they're having to take some of their resources to say yes, because I know how it affects you. And then you start getting used to that and really interplaying with the weekly coaching, doing some transformation work, and it opens doors for you. Carlene did some interesting things. She couldn't figure out how to get started a while ago. And when she did a technique that I do, find 50 ways to find money, 50 ways to find money. I got that from one of my coaches, Shanda Sumter. And just as she did that, she decided there were a couple things she was already spending money on she could reroute, and it opened a doorway for her to get some coaching. The second level of coaching I'm offering people right now, just so you all know, it's $124 a month, and it's what Suzanne has stepped into. It gives the weekly Monday through Friday, and then it gives one coaching pod a week. And that coaching pod's going to get as big as many people who join that versus the four person coaching pod that a lot of you are in right now. So what I've done is I created like an ascension model for starting to say yes to yourself. The first yes would be you just join our community. The second yes might be you're connected to the Facebook and you're communicating with people. And the third yes might be you actually aren't just getting the emails, but you're actually reading them and you're actually doing something with them. The fourth yes is you could attend the free MasterClass every month. The fifth yes is you could say, I want the Monday through Friday, that's $27. The next yes would be, I also want an opportunity to do live coaching once a week because I want this transformation. And if you're not there yet, your mind starts figuring out how you can get there. You know, you said yes to the 27, now your mind's like, I wonder how another 97 can drop in. I wonder how that can happen. Then you're at the once a week. If you decide you want more detailed in-depth coaching, you can step to that next level. And you can step to the next level. So I want to acknowledge you guys for saying yes to yourselves by being in here on whatever level you're in here today on. It's great to have you here. I hope that today's session gave you some ahas or gave you some paradigm shift or some possibility.
I just one question. You know,
Yeah.
the idea of yes, I can do it. Like, how do you kind of foster that kind of yes, I can do it? You know, what's the best thing for that to kind of feel confident in yourself?
How you foster it is you keep taking baby yeses. You keep saying yes to the next thing, the next little thing. You've been doing it.
Yeah.
The next
Okay.
little thing. Paul mentioned it. He mentioned how a guy's name came up on the internet, and he looked the guy up. Or somebody drops a name of someone they think is associated with something you're doing, and you actually get the person's number and you call them.
Yeah.
It's not letting go of the breadcrumbs that are being dropped for you. Because when you're ignoring those, you're good night, Carlene. I put a link in for people who want to look at the level 1 and 2 coaching. That's the 27, and then adding 97 to 127. I've put that there. If you have questions, you can always email me right off of our emails. But I put that link there. That is going to go up to 297. This is an introductory 127 or 124 for that. I want to offer it for a little while, it's going to go up to $297. Okay, because you're getting a lot.
Can I ask you? I'll find out with my bank on Monday about the $27. There was some query about it not being having transferred to your site, so I'll figure that one out.
I think it was transferred. I think it's just that my assistant opened up a new way to receive payments, so I think it's there. So I'll
Okay.
let you know. Don't
Yeah.
bother yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, no problem.
Okay. So I hope that you got something good today. Something I want to acknowledge you for saying yes, for being here. If you're in my programs, this replay will be put into the library so you can watch it, or you can fast forward into parts that you thought might be good. Any last comments, anybody? We're on the hour.
Thank you so much. It was really helpful. Really helpful.
Thanks, Ann.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a great time at your Jedi thing, Susan.
I will. Yeah, well.
And Paul, have a great productive day. Jane, nice to see you here. Looking forward to actually hearing your voice another day, another time. Thanks for being here. Goodbye, everybody. Have a beautiful
Bye.
day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.